Gold Coast Convention Centre. Ringside, the Gold Coast Convention Centre.
All right. Welcome everybody to another Boxing Podcast Morning Edition for everybody out there. Got a couple of things to cover here as it regards to the fights that we just had this Saturday. Tyson Fury, Conor Benn. People had a lot to say, let me tell you. I didn't think there was going to be that much fanfare over the Tyson Fury fight, especially after how mundane it turned out to be, or how the expected result came to fruition. However, like I said, there's a lot of people talking. There's a lot of ins and outs as it regards to this situation. So we're going to talk about all of that plus more. Before we get down to the fun, let's get the business out of the way, fellas. Don't forget to hit the like. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so with the Super Chat feature. You can also join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. You can also join the Patreon for free. By the way, we posted a video on YouTube about Xander Zayas and who is Xander Zayas, blah, blah, blah. You know, just a general overview. And we also posted a free Patreon film study about Xander Zayas, some of his strong points, some of his weak points, and some of the things that Jaron Ennis can exploit come this June. So go check it out. Again, it's for free. Don't forget to hit the like I said, subscribe. And it's just a morning show, you know, a little morning show to get you through the day. Make sure everything goes right with your day. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about Jay Will. Shout out to Jay Will, by the way, for his contribution with the Super Chat. He didn't leave a message, but he did actually two GIFs. It's one GIF. Fist bumping. There you go. Shout out to Jay Will. Really appreciate it, man. Really appreciate it. There you go. A fist bump to start the morning. As long as it's not a fist to the face. Although that can wake you up too, real quickly, let me tell you. I've woken up a couple of people that way. A couple of impolite people. Let me tell you, they're harassing people in the street or saying derogatory comments against certain groups. I said, no, sorry, Bob, not in my neighborhood. Here comes the fist. I'm kidding. I don't hit people. I mean, you should never use violence because somebody says something you dislike. That's just the way I feel about it. Maybe I'm wrong. Shout out to Langsbury, who says, great video. That, Mr. BDA. Well, thank you, man. Thank you for checking it out, Langsbury. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Shout out to Outlaw Boxing. Haven't seen him in a while. Shout out to Outlaw Boxing. What was his other name? Well, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want his other name being said nowadays. But shout out to Outlaw. Miso Dionysian. Watching Hours AM. You're right. There you go. Shout out to We Fight All Night. And many more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Like I said, there's a lot to get to here. So we had Tyson Fury defeating Magomedov, Arslanbek Magomedov, by unanimous decision this past Saturday. And it was an okay performance, according to a lot of people. I mean, I thought Fury showed at least the positive was that he's not shot. Even his father was saying that Tyson's Fury, that his legs were gone. Tyson's legs were gone. And Fury came out and said and showed you that no, they're not necessarily done. Now, the thing that I disliked the most out of it was the clinching. I mean, Magomedov already was very rudimentary in there with the wild swings and all that. And the fact that Fury, every time, he would try to keep Magomedov at bay, but then when Magomedov would close the distance, Fury sort of ran out of ideas in there and he would just clinch. Yeah, every once in a while he would fight on the inside too, but then he would clinch. He actually landed a lot of shots while clinching. Of course, those aren't scoring shots, but that's a lot of the activity that he showed. Now, of course, we had the post-fight Saturday show, and people had a lot to say. Go check that one out if you're interested. He got very heated. Some people didn't like it. Some people said, you know what, let's go back to the old days. I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Every open lines show, and I understand sometimes it might be jarring to hear an open line show, especially since we haven't done one, or we just restarted it after almost a half a year of not doing any open line show. So a lot of people look at that and they go, oh man, it's too chaotic for me. Let's go back to the old days. But I mean, look, if you ever see that it says open lines on the thumbnail, expect that type of chaos, especially if it's the Ultimate Chaos Edition. All right, just letting people know what it's all about. And so, yeah, people had a lot to say. Some people didn't like how Fury looked. Some people liked how he looked. Some people said he took a lot of punishment, which, I don't know. I think Olaf kept saying that statistically, Magomedov only landed about 40 shots. So, anyway, people had a lot to say about that fight. And after the fight now, there's a lot of clips coming out in the aftermath of people giving their opinions on it. Here's Derek Chisora going at it with Spencer Brown, who was the official promoter for this bout. Check out what he had to say, and they started getting into it a little bit.
It was crap, and he knows that. The fight was crap. He's a lot better than your one. You're mad. My one, everybody was up on their toes. Are you mad? Are you mad? Man, you fell asleep. I saw you fell asleep. Yeah, your one.
Another go at me tonight. He said that the fight was rubbish.
Anyway.
I said, did you see your fight? Absolutely diabolical. And he got bashed up.
Listen.
By
Dr. Khan was falling asleep. I'm like,
Dr. Khan don't sleep all days.
I don't know. By the way, I don't know who put on the Jewish music on top of that, but it wasn't me.
I would have fallen asleep. Honestly, mate. Honestly, don't worry. We were comfortable 10-round winners. Easy.
You couldn't even sit down. You was.
Because I thought there was going to be a knockout. All right.
Let me tell you something, yeah.
Go on, here we go.
We let him off on that one because.
Oh, come on, Del boy. Come on, son.
They have to be referring to the Fury fight, right? I don't think they're criticizing the Conor Benn performance. At least I don't think. Makes you wonder, right? Because I think Chisora is supposed to be Fury's friend. Or maybe he's talking about the event overall.
Look, your wife's here as well. It's lovely to meet you.
Yeah,
Very nice. Oh, right. He's horrible. Come on, Joe. Come on, get in here.
Fucking Chisora's insane, man. The guy goes, Spencer Brown goes, hey, lovely to meet your wife. Chisora goes, that's my side piece.
Because I need a bit of backup here. Look how
Here comes Joseph Parker there.
big he is.
This room ain't got enough men for me, brother.
Wait there, where's them little kids? Bring the kids here, will you?
It was crap.
Well, there you go. So that's Derek Chisora, not too impressed by the fight. Then again, if I remember correctly, a lot of people said that his last fight against Wilder, he wasn't even that good. That's what some people say. And not for nothing, but you know how I was complaining about the clinching. This fight had, and the Wilder fight had a lot of clinching, and it seems like that tends to get a little bit more ignored, and I've been guilty of that too, of saying, well, they're heavyweights, of course they're going to clinch nowadays, especially when it's these Lomaxes who weigh over 250 pounds. But that shouldn't be an excuse, really. I mean, yes, we've seen a lot of clinching in the past from heavyweights. I mean, if you look at for example, just throwing out there, Joe Frazier versus Ali. Actually, no, you know what? A lot of people know Joe Frazier, Ali clinched a lot. Like Joe Frazier versus Buster Matthews, for example. That's what these guys did against a guy like Joe Frazier. They couldn't handle him, so they would have to clinch. But I mean, it's still against the rules, right? Anyway, so that was Derek Chisora talking about that, complaining about Spencer Brown. By the way, some people said that, and again, I wasn't paying attention, so if somebody could fill me in on this, was Frank Warren at the event? Because there was a big hoopla over how, what's his name, Frank Warren might actually be suing Riyadh and all of that, and apparently had something to do with the fact that Fury was going to be fighting in this event and that Frank Warren was going to be shut out. Although if he is the official if he is Fury's official promoter, of course he was probably going to get a percentage of it, right? But what I understood, what people were saying on Twitter was that he wasn't going to get control of the event and therefore not going to get any revenue from that. And then somebody on Twitter said, hey, was Frank Warren at the event? And I said, yeah, that's true. What happened with Frank? So if Frank Warren was at the event, that would be quite interesting because you had Turki Al-Sheikh in the crowd. You had him in the ring after the fight, trying to goad Anthony Joshua into the ring. And I don't know, some people were saying that Turki Al-Sheikh's power seems to be waning because we haven't seen that many cards for him this year. We didn't really exactly see the best of Riyadh season in the latter half of 2025. And so I'm thinking, well, what's going on? Is he stepping back now? Or does this just have anything to do with the fact that of what's going on in Iran? And maybe that's taking the Sheikh's attention away from all of this. I don't know. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to think or have to say about that. But it is interesting how the AJ Fury, for lack of a better term, a rivalry, because it's not really a rivalry to actually fight in my book. It's more of an outside the ring rivalry or a useless rivalry at this point. But it has reignited, and people from both sides are starting to speak up and for their guy. But it is interesting that if Turki Al-Sheikh can't make it happen, who can, right? Because Tyson Fury, we've seen it in the past. Oh, I want this one, I want that one, big Dasa. And then all of a sudden he comes up with a statement saying he's the ace side. They gotta bow down to him. And now this time Joshua came out and said, no, I'm the landlord. I was listening to Ringside Reporter and Beeb was complaining about that. And it's true. This whole, like, it's almost like he took the page out of the Floyd Mayweather handbook. It's like, no, I'm the ace side. I call the shots. Blah blah blah. It's like, come on, man. Can we just make the fight? And again, I'm not saying AJ is the solely responsible for this type of stuff, but I mean, it doesn't help if he's already taking this attitude. I mean, both guys are really at the tail end of their careers. They need this fight, and it will probably do big business over in the UK. And once fight week comes along, boxing fans such as ourselves are going to be interested in it. So just make it happen. Now, as it pertains to Tyson Fury, I've seen again the usual suspects come out of the woodwork saying, "Oh my God, Tyson Fury, he can't knock anybody out." Ever since they took away his egg weights, he can't knock anybody out. So they're casting aspersions on Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury was never really that big a puncher. I mean, look at what he did to Wilder. In the second fight, he never had him out on his feet. Wilder was still standing when they stomped that one. It's just that Mark Breland felt he was taking too much punishment. And then in the third one, it took Fury about, 11 rounds? 10 rounds to stop him? I forget how many it was. And that was with a lot of clinching from Tyson Fury. And by the way, Deontay Wilder is not exactly the most durable guy out there. So Tyson Fury's power is not all that, with the exception of the Dillian White fight. The guy is not that big a puncher. I don't understand why these guys are all... I mean, I do understand why they're acting that way, but yeah, Tyson Fury's never been the biggest puncher out there. In fact, he's never been the most entertaining guy out there. Like I said, all the clinching. And so I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know the exact context. I don't know the time of the event. But somebody posted this clip here of people walking out of the Fury fight a couple of, I think 2 rounds before the actual end. So it reminded me a bit of the Shakur Stevenson fights, right? When people just start walking out because they already know the decision's coming or what type of decision's coming, and they already see that, well, it's not worth sticking around for 2 more rounds of this malarkey. But again, see, they're not showing you the ring here. They're just showing you the crowd and people, or maybe these people, I mean, I still see a lot of people seated. I see a lot of people. I don't see that many people. I mean, you look at the stairs there, I don't see any people. So actually, no, you look at those corridors there in the lower part, there are some people walking. But again, there's so many people, is like, are they just going to the bathroom? Is this in between fights? Again, I don't know the context, but it wouldn't surprise me if people were walking away. Because like I said, Fury's fights aren't just aren't that entertaining. So if you've already seen 10 rounds of him, or 8 rounds, however many rounds it was, of him against Magomedov, you would expect some people to say, you know what, there's a lot of... We got to get to our car here. There's a lot of people here. The parking lot's going to be filled. The corridors are going to be filled. So might as well just go now. Now, I keep saying that he defeated him 12-round decision or whatever. Was it a 10-round decision? What was it? Yeah, it was 12 rounds, right? Because it was 121-8. Yeah, okay. It was 12 rounds. 12 rounds. I got to tell you, at least it was on Netflix. That's why I'm not complaining so much, because it was on Netflix. It was for free. What do you want from me? And also, by the way, I already go in there with certain fights with a certain level of expectation. I set the bar relatively low for certain fighters so that when I go in there and watch their fights, I'm not shocked, I'm not surprised. And so therefore, I wasn't really surprised about this performance from Fury. What are people saying in the chat? This is the BDM morning show. Don't forget to hit the like. We got Iron Fist saying Magomedov has tremendous physical strength and durability. Yeah, that's one thing you got to give him. I mean, look, Caballero stopped him, but then again, Caballero's also stopped other guys who had never been stopped before. First of all, Frank Sanchez had never been defeated. And Zhang had been defeated, but no one had ever managed to do what Caballero did to him. I mean, just roasting his ribs. So Caballero appears to be an exceptional case. Guido Vianello stopped Magomedov, but he did it by shutting his eye out, by swelling his eye shut. So it's not exactly like he had him out on his feet, like he knocked him out. So, I mean, yeah, and like he's saying, like Iron Fist is saying, considering the inactivity, the opponent and his wear and tear, Fury did decently. I think that's the way to go. But it was decent. It wasn't the best performance. It wasn't brilliant. It wasn't, he just did what he was expected to do. Are we, Grim Reaper says loading. Are we loading? Hold on, let me check the connection here. It seems like we're good. Maybe we were lagging a little bit earlier. Outlaw Box says Joseph Parker is looking for something you know what. Yeah, maybe that's why he got close to Derek Chisora, man. Maybe he was like, hey, man, yeah, you're always eating and stuff like that. Probably you're higher on something. You know where to get some. Langsbury says Fury likes a 1-2 and a hug. Yeah, that's really his MO at this point. And it's only going to get worse with age, by the way. Grim Reaper says, I don't think Fury looked good. That could have been ring rust. He got a bit better as the fight went on. Yeah, he did definitely improve during the fight. Shout out to Cosmic in the chat. I don't know if that's a real Cosmic. People like to sometimes appropriate names. Outlaw Box says that lad that said Gold Coast sounds like a gimp. LOL. Well, we've been talking about that Outlaw in the last couple of months here about how this dude, every time Jay Opataya fights, and that's why I was glad that his last fight wasn't at the Gold Coast Convention Center, because I think this commentator gets paid to say Gold Coast Convention Center because he just says it every 5 seconds.
The Gold Coast Convention Centre.
Center.
Ringside. Gold Coast Convention Centre.
Speaking of the convention center, we also have another Aussie here, the Zufaru. Shout out to Carl. Says G'day BDI. There you go. We're ringside at the Gold Coast Convention Center. Well, there you go. Shout out to everybody for joining us. Really appreciate it. Now, some people were saying, Tyson Fury, he put AJ on the spot. How dare he? I mean, that ain't nothing. I mean, that's a lowly type of effort there from Tyson Fury, but we expect nothing less. That's what some people were saying. Like, how dare he try to put AJ on the spot? And shout out to AJ, they were saying. They were giving props to AJ, commending him for not taking the bait, especially from Turki Al-Sheikh, who happens to be AJ's friend, I think, right? I think the Turki Al-Sheikh, some of the people that Turki Al-Sheikh loves to hold hands with are Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Terence Crawford, Hamza Shiraz, Beterbiev, I think. That's another one of his favorites. So I don't know what's going on with AJ. I think maybe the honeymoon period is over. However, somebody on Twitter said, all these people praising Joshua. Meanwhile, he was calling out an inactive Tyson Fury back when Fury was retired in 2007 and he was a fatso. And I said, did that really happen? I said, so I had to look for it. And apparently Joshua, after Joshua beat Carlos Takam, called out Tyson Fury, said he's a fat, where's my censor button? He's a fat and he said, come on and, get in shape. Now, I started thinking, well, wait a minute. Because even this article from the Mirror, UK.uk or .co.uk, whatever it's called, I think it said something about how Tyson Fury replied on Twitter at that time in 2017 and said, Joshua's swearing. He must be really pissed off. Sort of alluding to the fact that Joshua usually doesn't swear. He usually has that, he has a very controlled image, Joshua. He's got handlers and all that really make sure that he comes across as a good guy or a goody two-shoes. And so Tyson Fury said that. He said, it's quite strange and jarring to see Anthony Joshua not only reply, but reply by swearing. And I said, well, wait a minute. There you go. He's replying to you. So what? I'm just asking questions here because I don't remember this timeline. What did Tyson Fury say beforehand to get Anthony Joshua to reply this way? Because I don't think Anthony Joshua just out of nowhere said that. And again, I'm not saying Anthony Joshua, I'm not the biggest Anthony Joshua fan. I do think he's a little fake, a little arrogant. And like I said, I think his image has been controlled by people. But again, that's par and parcel with that's on par on the court. What do they say? That's, like Mayweather would say, that comes with the territory. So again, I'm not saying either one guy is better than the other in this one necessarily. However, I do wonder if Tyson Fury is the one that started this beforehand with some comments. Be that as it may, I don't really see the problem with Tyson Fury calling out Anthony Joshua. I mean, Anthony Joshua did show up. He probably expected this, knowing that they were sitting him ringside. So, I don't know. There were some people, and again, you got to take this into consideration. There's a lot of people on Twitter that will defend Anthony Joshua no matter what he does. I remember after he went nuts, post Usyk, remember the Usyk rematch? Where he grabbed the belts and then he started trying to fight people and he grabbed the microphone and went on a tirade. People were defending him for that, saying, you just don't know what it feels like to lose in a rematch. You've never been at the best. You're not the best of your profession, so you'll never feel the and then, they just started ranting, defending him. So they'll defend him against anything. So they're defending him now and they're giving Anthony Joshua props for not taking the bait. But then I go, well, if it's the same people, I mean, forget about what they say. Let's just look at it from a objective perspective here. Did he do the right thing by not engaging too much with Fury and Turki Al-Sheikh? I want to hear from you guys in the chat. But be that as it may, somebody dug that up and that Joshua had indeed called Tyson Fury a fat. Oh, see, I'm just trying to see if the censor button works. But that he did indeed call out a Fury when Fury was retired and out of shape. So I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? Now, AJ did end up doing a big interview, a long interview with the Zone right after all of that malarkey took place with Turkey Al-Ashik and all that. So it's not like he was completely silent, and he was going on and on. And I'm just going to show you a little snippet here. This is from the Zone. Check out what he had to say.
Uncle Turkey has some work to do, and we'll see what happens next. But I enjoyed watching it, and I feel like I'm ready to build up my muscle because I want to break his jaw.
There you heard it there. He wants to break Tyson Fury's jaw. So, I mean, again, he's not exactly detached from this situation. It's not like he was completely zen and, oh, I've learned from my mistakes and what happened to me last December, I've grown from that. No, he still wants to. By the way, were some people saying, because again, somebody posted a picture and I was actually going to post it on the air here, but I said, nah, you know what, let me not. But you remember that picture that came out when he got in the car accident and he's lying and he's sitting there shirtless in the car, all banged up. Somebody posted a picture, somebody photoshopped Jake Paul in there sitting next to Joshua and looking at the camera and pointing 2 thumbs up at the camera. And I'm thinking, and then people were complaining about that in the tweet, in the comment section, and somebody said, come on, Joshua was partying like 2 weeks after that. And I'm thinking, did he really do that? Was he partying afterwards? Or 2 weeks afterwards? Or I don't know how many times it must have been, but can anybody confirm that yes, Joshua was spotted in a club partying thereafter? Well, I got to tell you again, if anybody cares to hear my opinion on this Fury versus AJ fight, it would do big numbers in the UK. I don't think they really... A lot of the people in the UK, a lot of the UK fans, have said it before, they are, if not the best fans, then at least in the top 3 best fans out there in boxing. Most energetic, colorful. I mean, they will just watch anything. And I don't know if it's just a chance to go out there and get drunk and sing. Who doesn't like to do that, right? But they will pretty much support their fighters until the end. And so Fury versus Joshua, of course. I mean, look at Fury. Fury apparently versus Magomedov apparently didn't do as well as it should have, considering that they were holding the fight in a stadium, or an arena rather. You know what? I always get, especially early in the morning. What the hell is the difference between a stadium and an arena? Well, the bigger one, right? The big venue. Apparently, we didn't do all that well. Apparently, from what I understand, Dubois versus Wardley is already doing better at the box office, at the gate. So I don't know if that has to do with Fury, because again, Fury has, from what I understand from the British fans, what they say, Fury has never had the support that Joshua had. I don't know if it's because of all the layoffs. Maybe people don't have that much confidence in him. Maybe it's the retirement every other year from Fury. And maybe it also has to do with the fact that he's just not as entertaining as Joshua inside the ring. Again, I'm not saying Joshua's always must-see TV, but generally he manages to ice people, whereas Fury will, slap. At best, Fury will slap his way to a stoppage. But he rarely lays people out. So maybe that has something to do with it. Be that as it may, Tyson Fury didn't really fill out the plays there, but you know that if he fights Joshua, it's going to be a big event. I mean, again, Amir Khan versus Kell Brook did good numbers in 2022. It was a big event over there, so this one's going to do that. Now, again, is the fight going to be good? That is the big question, and with all the clinching that Tyson Fury does, I don't expect it to be that entertaining, but I think if it's at its best, I think we could see an intriguing tactical matchup, because Joshua has quick hands too, relatively quick hands for someone his size. Fury, as you can see, still has some pop and some flash on those hands of his. Still has some footwork. And of course, I think the build-up to the fight it would be more the most interesting aspect of it. But look, I'm interested in the fight. Why not? What are people saying in the chat? Langsbury says everyone would tune into that. He's saying what a build-up it would be. Two Matador says lurking. Whoa, don't lurk too much. It's a little creepy right there, let me tell you. The Zufaru, Carl says BDA, AJ and Fury will sell out Wembley in 5 minutes, in my opinion. Yeah, I think so, man. I think so. I think you're right. I think that's a sensible outlook, right? That it would do well. Now, the problem is, are they going to start getting into, well, who's the ace? I mean, AJ already started saying he's the landlord. So hopefully that doesn't translate into problems when it comes to actually making the fight. We Fight All Night says, I think it's one of the biggest UK fights of all time. A little late, but still big. Yeah, I mean, a little late never prevented anybody from, any fight from making money, by the way. Oh, shout out to Sobers. Shout out to Sobers. He said, "Put me in." Okay, fantastic. We got somebody jumping in. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. Really helps us out. Still, the best was seeing Eubank. Langsbury says Eubank, Hearn, and AJ sharing a laugh. Oh, well, were they sharing a laugh? I get the feeling Hearn doesn't like Eubank all that much. So, Carl says, "Why did Eddie ignore his Papa Turkey when he called his lapdog to the ring?" I think Eddie Hearn might have known that. I think he might have known that this was going to happen. He probably told AJ to play it cool. That's the feeling I'm getting here. We got Solver jumping in. Solvers, are you there?
What's up? What's up?
What's up? Thank you for being on, first of all. And let's just recap what happened on Saturday post-fight show, because it got very heated, and we had some people say differing opinions, right? Some people said Fury looked fantastic. He looked like he was better than ever. Well, actually, nobody said that, but I mean that he was as good as ever, blah, blah, blah. Other people said that he looked like crap. Based off of that, what do you think would happen in a potential AJ fight, and who would you root for in that fight?
I would probably like to see Tyson Fury win that one.
Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. I was just listening to an interview from Eddie Hearn, and he was saying that he definitely wants to fight. He wants Joshua to fight Fury, and he says, but they need to tune up first. And he says they want to take Deontay Wilder as a tune up. And he was being interviewed by some American guys, right? And when he said that, they're like, oh, you think Deontay Wilder's a tune up? I mean, he just ended Chisora's career. So they were very surprised, but I think that's I like how he's talking about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fight Deontay Wilder, then fight Tyson Fury. That'll be the cherry on top of his career, to be honest. He won't really need to fight anybody else after that. He would have fought everybody at that point. So, let's see that. And Eddie Hearn says some shit like that you're like, okay, he's confident. He thinks his boy can win. But then he also said some shit about the Xander. I know it's a little bit off topic, but he said something about the Xander Zayas and Boots fight, where he just keeps talking about how he can't believe that Top Rank let Xander Zayas take this fight, and how it makes him nervous and confused. And it should make him nervous, and it should be confused, because he's the type of motherfucker that only wants to take a guaranteed win, right? It just shows his mentality and how good he is at matchmaking, right? He kind of doesn't fucking know what he's doing, because he lost every fight in that 5v5 against Frank Warren, right? He's not a great matchmaker. And he just kept reiterating, I don't know why they let him take it. I don't know why they let him take it. Because maybe they believe in him, and the top-ranked matchmakers are better than most other promoters, right? When they go head-to-head with other promoters, they usually win. So that's what, what I'm saying. We'll see what happens. But I just think it's funny that he keeps talking about how he doesn't believe that they let Zayas take the fight.
It's a very good catch. And yeah, it reminded me, I was thinking about it, by the way. When Joshua and Dubois fought, that was another Hearn versus Frank Warren fight, right?
Yep.
Uh-huh. There you go. Makes sense. And yeah, it's Eddie Hearn. I think there was another quote from him, or might be confusing him with De La Hoya, where somebody lost, and it was either Hearn or De La Hoya saying, "Oh, I can't believe they made that fight happen. I can't believe they let him fight." I'm thinking, well, that's what you want as a boxing fan. And I know they're not boxing fans. That's why they're thinking the opposite. But as boxing fans, we want to see guys take risks. We don't want to see safe bets, And there's an article in Ring Magazine. Excuse me, I don't know the exact issue, because the digital archives are free. This is from the 90s, and it's an article about why mismatches take place on TV. And they were talking to a bunch of executives, and they were saying, look, if we could show 50-50 fights all the time, we would be all for it. But this is also a show business. It's about ratings. And if we have to put in there Larry Holmes and George Foreman against stiffs, because at least Larry Holmes and George Foreman are big names, then that's what we're going to do. So they were being very adamant about how sometimes you just got to put in a big name against a stiff, as Tyson Fury would say, a big Dasa, and because that's going to get you ratings. And it's true now more than ever. I mean, you get these 50-50 fights and nobody's really watching them. In fact, we're going to talk about that later, but apparently Zurdo versus Benavides is not selling that well at the box office. At the gate, rather. I mean, I don't know if... And then on top of that, it's going to be pay-per-view. So if it's not doing well at the gate, it's going to do even... Usually, that's the way it works. If it doesn't do well at the gate, then it does even worse on pay-per-view. So I don't know why that fight's not selling, and I don't know what's going to happen, but it's not looking good. Not looking good at all, man.
Well, it's two guys that I don't think they're relatively well known.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're well known to the hardcores, but I don't think a lot of people are checking for Zurdo. You know what I mean? He had kind of had his chance to take some of Canelo's clout if he had beaten Bevo. I think that would have took his career to another level, but since he didn't, he's kind of been it's kind of like how Americans look at cruiserweight. No one cares.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. They are cruiserweights, and Benavides, as much as he's trying to get that Mexican aura, trying to appropriate it, it's not working out. By the way, there was a video of him. I don't know, it was a documentary or something. I don't know, and he's talking with some guy. Comes up to him, and then he and Benavides go, yeah, we're working hard. We're fighting anybody now. Now that it's clear that Canelo's not going to fight me, it's like, what? Nobody brought up Canelo. He's the one that, because usually he says, well, people keep asking me about Canelo, so I got to keep. And this time he just brought him up out of nowhere. So he still wants that fight, and I understand he wants that fight. It's a big money fight. Oh, by the way, hold on, real quick. So I'm gonna invite Carl. So this is gonna take us to another room. All right. Where is? How come I don't? I hate this. Yes.
I should have hit it.
I hate this Discord friends list because I'm looking at him, or for him rather. I can't find him on the hell? First of all, is Carl even a friend of mine here? Hold on. I don't even think I have him as a friend.
Wow. That's going to cut pretty deep.
Your friend? Oh, yeah, I sent him a friend request.
Oh.
And he hasn't accepted it. That's why I can't send him an invite. Because if we were in a room with more than 2 people, then I could send him the invite. But since I don't have him in the friends list, so I can't invite him here. Carl, you gotta accept my invite, my friend request. Otherwise, I cannot send you the invite for some reason. No, he's not getting it. He says accept my friend request. Now I gotta type in. He's saying no one likes the Aussie. No, I don't think he's listening. Anyway, while he sorts that out, Sobers, I wanted to ask this, man. Oh, I think he just accepted it. Hold on. Really, I apologize for these people, but it's one of these things that happens. I just get there we go. Now I see him. All right, it's gonna take us to another room. All right, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. This is the BD Morning Show. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the morning. It's an overcast morning here. It's going to be overcast for the next 3-4 days. Feels like I'm in England.
It's okay. I know you don't want to be my friend. It's all right.
Well, I mean, I sent you a friend request. I think I sent it to you years ago, and you never actually accepted it. So now
Stop your nonsense. You just sent it to me, then you can't.
I think I actually sent it when Discord first started, and you never actually accepted. So that's all right. That's all right. No, but listen, good to have you on board, guys. Really appreciate it. And I wanted to really get into this, though, because this gets into the responsibilities of fighters, all right? The responsibilities of fighters. I think if a fighter goes into a bout, he should give it his all. I think that's just the minimum expectation. Just give it your all. I'm not asking you to die in there. If you get a busted nose or a broken orbital and you feel like you can't go on, all right. I'm not going to call you a quitter or whatever, right? But going into this fight, there were rumors that Prograis was injured, that he was crippled. Even weeks before the actual bout, there were rumors that he was going to pull out, or that he had indeed pulled out. And then he actually had to post a video a couple of hours later saying, no, I'm not pulling out. And people find it bizarre, saying, whoa, why did he feel the need to validate these rumors via video? Well, it turns out that he was injured. People kept asking him in the build of the fight, are you okay? He said, oh, yeah, I'm 100%, bro, I'm 100%. Turns out he wasn't 100%. Check this out. After the fight, he retired, by the way. The sure sign that his body can't take it anymore. And he said, the rumors about me being hurt were true. I was terrified. I didn't know if I was going to hold up. He said he had 4 injuries: right hand, an eye injury, a rib injury, and a jaw injury. Said as recently as Friday, he considered pulling out of the fight. So now I got to ask, does he deserve credit for going in there injured? Or should he have pulled out weeks before the actual fight, knowing that, hey, I'm not going to be at my best, try to find a replacement who's going to do better than me, all crippled up?
You know what, BDA? Oh, you go, Sobers. You go, bro.
You go ahead, Carl.
Man, I want to give that dude his fucking props, BDA, because I tell you what, he gave that fucking Conor Benn I do not know what a lot of people jumped on this Conor Benn train when he beat Chris Eubank the second time when he got the stoppage, man. I just have never I've never been this high on Chris Eubank. I just see a very ordinary British level type boxer, never won a belt. I just think he's that type of. I don't think he's that dude. I think he had his moment. I think he had his moment with the Chris Eubank thing, man. And that was a great spectacle for the Brits. You know, that was the sons of two champions, and mate, that delivered. Right, that delivered. But outside of that fight, can someone tell me this great fucking match that Conor Benn's gone in and boxed someone's ears off? And mate, I'll tell you what, Regis Prograis, man, for a pretty basic type southpaw, but a southpaw that's fought elite level competition. Man, I got nothing but props for fucking Regis Prograis, how he fought that fight, bro.
Now, but that's true. And yeah, Conor Benn has never been that guy and probably will never be that guy, but at least he's somewhat entertaining. But it does beg the question. He's going in there all crippled up, knowing that he's not going to be able to give it 100%. Should he have pulled out weeks before the fight?
I don't like boxers doing that shit, right? Where they're lying to everybody. Yeah. You know, and he neither confirmed nor denied when he was injured. They brought up like, hey, we're hearing this, we're hearing that. Are you okay? And he's like, everyone has problems. Everyone's injured. And he goes, I'm 100% going to be there on the night. And they're like, you're 100%? You're okay? And he goes, I'm 100% going to be there on the night. So he was like being vague about it. Like, I'm going to show up.
Right.
And he wasn't saying he wasn't injured.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, people might have put money on him thinking he could win. So I don't like when boxers do that kind of shit. He was just trying to make sure he got his check at the end of the day. Whatever, you know, whoop-de-whoop. He managed not to get knocked out. Good for him. But he was never in the fight not to be. You know what I mean? And it's a bad look for Conor Benn because this guy was getting beat up by Jojo Diaz.
Not only that,
I think he robbed Jojo Diaz.
Whoa.
And Conor Benn only hurt him one time.
Not only that, Sobers, but fucking Conor Benn just knocked out a middleweight. And he couldn't stop a fucking super lightweight that went up to a weight division. He actually went 3 pounds above a weight division he never even fought at.
Yeah, you know what, man? I mean, people keep talking about how he looks sensational before the egg controversy. And I'm thinking, well, look, Chris Algieri was old. So, and Samuel Vargas has been stopped before too. So was Chris Van Herdeen. I think he's a relatively old guy too. So, but it is suspect now coming into this how Conor Benn hasn't been able to stop people ever since that egg controversy, and then struggling against Prograis. And I mean, look, I know I was always trying to find the positive in this, and I was thinking, well, maybe Prograis is going to do better than most people expect because of the styles matchup. And the people who have managed to beat Prograis, other than Josh Taylor, did it or the people that made him look bad as well, like Zorrilla, even though he didn't win, but I mean, he made him look bad, were the people who were counterpunchers, people that didn't go at Regis Prograis. So I said, well, maybe now, but Conor Benn is completely opposite. He's going to jump on Prograis, so maybe that's going to play into Prograis' hands. But I didn't expect, but at least I expected Conor Benn to do a little bit better than this. I mean, it was a bad look for Conor Benn, and this is a guy who really needs to look good at this point. He needs a positive here because he's been looking bad in the court of public opinion. Now, I think some of that also has to do with the Eddie Hearn PR machine. I think he set this in motion to make Conor Benn look bad because of what happened between them. But also, boxing scene. Boxing scene. I was laughing at this headline here. Check this out. This is the headline from Boxing Scene. The one in the middle here. $15 million Conor Benn earns wide decision over durable Regis Prograis. They have to put in the amount of money that he was paid. But then that does beg the question. How much is he going to be? Because he strikes me as an unrealistic type of person. First of all, I think he's been watching too many of those YouTube influencer videos. You know, the type that always show you, like on Instagram, you'll see a guy with a quote like, always stand up for business or something like that. And then I don't understand what it is with these bodybuilders on Instagram that they think that they're great business people. No, you're a good bodybuilder. You're not a great, just that doesn't make you a good business person. But I think Conor Benn's been watching too much of that because every time he talks about what it's like, what it takes to be a man. Like Gonzalo would always bring that up, the Steven Seagal movie there from when he's in Alaska. He beats up the fat guy from Dumb and Dumber. He goes, what does it take to be a man? And it's like, well, I think Prograis has been too much into that. So people are really starting to dislike him. He's got a bit of an ego. How much is he gonna want then for a fight, for a big fight? Let's say he fights Ryan Garcia. Is he gonna say, "Well, listen, I got paid $15 million to fight Regis Prograis, so I want $20 million for that"? Is that what's gonna happen?
Here, this is what I think, BDA, and I do think that you have a point with Conor Benn listening to these motivational speakers. Like, there's that guy Jocko Willink, that ex
Good.
Marine or whatever. He was like yeah, he's like, your dog died. Good. Parents left you. Good. Wife left you. Good. Use it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Use it. So I think he's there's that, and then there's the Ryan Garcia fight. I was going to bring this up too. He was talking about he was originally signed. He was Garcia's #1 contender, so he was already lined up to fight him after Garcia won that belt. He said he took this fight as a busy in between fight to stay sharp. He could have waited for Garcia because the fight's basically already there, but he risked it, quote unquote, to take this fight with Prograis. So I think that the $15 million was not there to fight Prograis. I think they paid him that originally to get a Ryan Garcia fight on a super platform.
You think
that's the real play? Yeah, because he said he was already lined up to fight Ryan. He said he risked that position by taking this fight with Prograis. Go ahead.
Sorry, bro. No, 26th of January, Mauricio Sulaiman came out and said that Conor Benn is the next in line for Ryan Garcia's belt. He is the mandatory. That was on the 26th of January. So that was even before all this hoo-ha was made. But I think Mauricio Sulaiman wanted a piece of the pie after Conor Benn beat Eubank the way he did in the rematch. Mauricio Sulaiman just saw fucking dollar signs and just said, in England, this is big money. This is life-changing money. I mean, this is good for people's superannuation.
Yeah, no, think about Ryan Garcia fighting in Conor Benn in England. That'd be a pretty big fight.
That would be massive over there. Okay, so there is that 15 million thing. And yeah, maybe hopefully Conor Benn understands that, look, this was a one-off thing. It was a exceptional opportunity to fight for that amount of money for a subpar fight. Don't expect that, or that's probably what you're going to get for a big fight next time. So don't expect more. Now, the British Boxing Board of Control really screwed up in the Deontay Wilder-Chisora fight. They let Chisora's cornerman jump into the ring during an active round, missed a couple of knockdowns. The referee allowed Chisora's cornerman to prop him up and help him up as he was he had collapsed through the ropes. Just a horrible performance from the BBOC. Also, let's not forget those horrible stoppages that they have over there, including most recently the Joseph Parker versus Worley one. And the guy who's in control of the Boxing Board of Control, I forget his name, Smith, I think it is, Robert Smith. He called that performance from the referee in that fight bang on. It was a bang-on stoppage. The only one that got banged was Joseph Parker up his you-know-what with that stoppage. And let's not forget that the British Boxing Board of Control operates out of here. I'm not kidding. These are the actual headquarters in Wales for the BBOC, because apparently what happened was they got sued or something like that a couple of years ago. So they had to downgrade, and they ended up moving to this flat. I think it's a whole tax thing that ended up happening too. So that's where they operate from, and you can tell through their performances. Well, hours before the fight.
That looks like BLK Prime's office.
Yeah, maybe that's. I tell you what, that's a whole lot better.
That might be in partnership or something.
Maybe you're right, man. Yeah, they share an office space over there. I like the garbage cans too. The open garbage cans.
They share the Wi-Fi.
It's a whole lot better than the BDA. It's a whole lot better than the BDA headquarters. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, so hours before the actual Prograis fight, some guy was already complaining. Because again, people knew this, that the guy wasn't 100%. This dude on Twitter, Hayden Williams, said, Prograis obviously has an injured left knee. How did he get a license? The BBOC are fucking up every week. It's embarrassing. Did Prograis do a medical? We need answers. The world and his dog knew he blew out his knee. So at least the knee is one thing that a lot of people were concerned about. Then afterwards, Prograis said, no, it wasn't just the knee. It was the hand, it was the eye, it was the jaw, it was a taint. It was everything. The guy was falling apart. So what do you guys think? Is this a disservice to the boxing fans to have a guy in there so severely injured, not being able to give it his best?
Well, the business people are going to try to make business happen, right? They all got everything set in motion. They're going to try to make their money. No one's saying nothing to Prograis for being a fucking liar.
Right.
Exactly.
That's why I'm asking. Should he? I mean, okay, I give him props for fighting injured, but should he have been in the first place in that ring?
No, I mean he's the one lying to everybody, right? Because he knows if he was honest. I got a bum leg, I got a bum shoulder, I got a bum chin. I'm like, well, okay, well, medically we can't clear you to fight, buddy. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so it's more on him lying, and them them not trying extra hard to catch him lying.
Yeah, I mean, if he were able to provide evidence that he got pressured into going into the fight, because again, there were rumors that he was going to pull out, or that he had pulled out weeks prior to the actual event. If he could provide some sort of proof or evidence that he was pressured into it, I would have some sympathy. But you're right, man. As it stands right now, he lied his way into the fight. And I understand he needs a payday and all that, but look, people are paying good money to watch this fight. I know it was on Netflix. It wasn't exactly pay-per-view, but you're still paying for Netflix to watch this fight. I mean, it's...
Dirk and his family all put money on Regis. They all thought he could win.
Come on.
BDA, is Regis Prograis working on a documentary?
Yeah, he's working on the documentary, and he's got the biopsy results. He's got the
It'll
biopsy.
all come out of that.
Everything's gonna be revealed in the documentary.
There you go. He's got the
Yeah,
autopsy.
we're gonna get it soon.
The autopsy reports and the colonoscopy reports.
Written and produced by Blue Balls and Fred.
Oh, geez, Luis. Yeah, Carl's going after everybody today.
Fuck him. Fuck him. I got BDA that pretends he's my friend and never doesn't even send me a fucking friend request.
I'm
disappointed.
I don't think I've actually pretended anything. No, I'm kidding. No, listen. It was a miscommunication. We'll chalk it up to that. But speaking of miscommunication, there's no miscommunication with Conor Benn. What he wants next? Apparently, they rushed him. I didn't even pay attention to it, but apparently they rushed him out of the ring after the Prograis performance. It seems like they didn't want him. It seems like they
didn't get him fixed up. Did you see his eyes?
No. What happened?
He got stitches in both eyes, man. Like
okay.
Prograis fucking busted him up good and proper.
Certainly.
This is what I don't know, man. I think. Can I just say, as the Australian Zuffa expert, I'm disappointed in Zuffa. I think that $15 million could have gone to fucking hungry children in Botswana. I think that would have been served better over there because, as the Zuffa representative of Australia, man, and I'm disappointed.
I would agree with you.
I want my money back.
I will agree with you if you make those Botswanan kids fight for that money. Then I would agree with you. But if you're just giving them they don't have to do anything. No, sorry, you got to earn that 15 mil in my world
with knives. With
machetes. Come on, man. By the way, speaking of the Ryan Garcia fight, that's the fight. Let's not be surprised if that's the one that happens because that's the one they're talking about. The Conor Benn's manager, by the way, and again, if Conor Benn ever makes a bad move or anything. Remember this guy's name, Keith Connolly, because he's probably the guy that's making all of this happen. This is what you have to say about a Garcia fight.
Preferred option be Zuffa for a multi-deal, would you say?
Well, I mean, they were great to us. They gave us a tremendous deal. Nothing bad to say about them. In fact, I have everything good to say about them. Zuffa, Dana White, Netflix, and of course, my good friend Nick Khan. Nick Khan is obviously a legendary business executive, but more important, he's a great human being.
Nobody cares about that.
Fair, and like I said, we did great business with them. We will sit down with them, but we'll also see what's out there, right? Conor's a free agent. It was a one-fight deal, but the target will be to fight Ryan Garcia.
So you heard it there from straight out of the horse's mouth. And Conor Benn did end up giving interviews because I thought they rushed him out to get some stitches. But he did do an interview and he reiterated and shared his manager's sentiments. They want Ryan Garcia. And, of course, Conor Benn, who's a bit of a hothead, heard the comments that, because it wasn't just Ryan Garcia, by the way, it was Evan Haney, Shakur Stevenson, and somebody else tweeted about how horrible a performance it was. So check out what Conor Benn had to say.
Of course he calls me out now. He's a coward. He probably thinks, has Conor looking 147, 150 in 4 years? He weren't calling me out for the past 2 years, was he? Where's he been? While I've been vocal and actively chasing that fight, it's cowardly. But he can get it next, and he'll get a better version of me. I mean, I don't know what I needed to do in there tonight. I ran out on 6 weeks' notice, a weight I haven't made in 4 years.
Oh, so he was he gave reasons for why he looked, huh?
Fuck's sake.
I didn't
Did
even
you
know
see
that.
him at the weigh-in video? He looked fucking drained at 149.5.
Jeez. Now, you know what? I know everybody's all worked up over titles and belts and all that. If he fights Ryan Garcia, it ain't going to be at no 147.
That's what I was gonna say, BDA. I was gonna say this. I've been saying this. I'm looking at my crystal ball in the future, and I'm gonna see Conor Benn trying to invent his own weight class at 150, trying to follow Canelo's footsteps. Because the way he looked at 150, dude, he looked like he had Botox. He looked like he'd been off the Scante for a week. His skin looked pulled back. His skin looked stretched across his skull. You know, he looked weird. He looked like 29 going on 45.
Mm-hmm.
So can you look in that?
Go ahead.
Can you look in that crystal ball for me? And do I actually ever get anywhere near close to the Powerball numbers?
You do, but then you lose the numbers on the way to go claim it, and you know that's the way that's the way the news goes.
That's the way the Aussie cookie crumbles, man. Sorry.
Damn it.
Hey, at least you.
I just don't see. I don't see.
You get in a car accident on your way to claim the money, and yeah.
You know what, Carl? You should ask for something a little bit more realistic. That's the way it always works out with these type of things. You should ask something for a little bit more realistic. You should have asked Sobers, "Do I ever make it to the
Gold Coast Convention Center?"
And then you work your way up from there. But you don't just go straight to the Powerball numbers. I'm sorry, that's not the way it works.
Ringside, Gold Coast Convention Center.
There you go. Maybe.
Ringside, Gold Coast Convention Center.
Listen, click your heels 3 times, Doherty. It might happen. Speaking, but by the way, don't forget, people, hit the like. Really helps us out. What are people in the chat saying? Jay Will says Zuffa and Dana White are working with Oscar and Golden Boy. Turkey will have to be in the middle to make it work. Well, listen, when there's money to be made, the fights will be made. That's usually what happens. Iceman says, Waller's Doctor, Remember Me documentary coming out soon. Yeah, don't hold your breath. Two Matador says, 15 million. Couldn't even KO Crash Dummy Regis. Crashed his dummy. Shout out to Rapax Trucking Company. Shout out to Rapax 10-4, one of the initiated. And he says, how do you rehab a hurt taint? Asking for a friend. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know how to rehab a taint, man. I'm sorry. I'm not a doctor. We'll try to contact Dr. Rado 5, see if he has the remedy for a fractured taint. But speaking, shout out to everybody out there. Don't forget to like it. This is a BD morning show. Hopefully everyone's having a good morning. And Teofimo Lopez showed up to the event, I believe. Or I don't know which event it was. I saw the ring logo behind him. And he did an interview. And sure enough, he's saying that, he's talking with Ryan Garcia about a potential fight. Check out what he had to say. That's loud. What the hell?
How's things? How have you been?
Oh my goodness, things have been great, phenomenal, really, and I'm excited to see tonight this event overall, and what other way than seeing Conor Benn back in it. I'm so excited. I look forward to a good bloodbath, so to speak.
All right, I don't even know. I haven't even watched this clip, so I don't have a timestamp.
Early in the morning, he mentioned that, I could have made 147. So obviously the weight was good for him. Look forward to see how he performs tonight.
You selfishly got one eye on Conor Benn as well?
You know what? I'm going to 147. He's coming down to 147. If the odds are there, we'll make it happen.
How's life been since the Shakur?
Hey, by the way, sorry, we went away from Conor Benn there. It just reminded me. So he ended up making excuses, right? He said, I took the fight on 6 weeks' notice. What else did he say? So he was making excuses then for why he looked bad. I mean, he should have just...
Yeah, he said it. He hasn't been at 47 for 4 years.
Right. How is he... So he's in the catch-22, man, because if he can't make 147, he's cooked at 154. He's not beating those... Yeah, so like Sober said, I think it would benefit him and Ryan Garcia. It was going to benefit them both, right? Listen. We both know we can make 147. Let's just fucking do a catch weight and I wouldn't be surprised if the WBC gives him a ceremonial belt or something, like symbolic belt of just yeah, we'll give you a belt just so that we have our name plastered on the poster and all that. Because how is Conor Benn gonna make 147? It's insane.
I can't see it, man.
He's gonna look horrible.
I can't see it, man.
And then against Ryan Garcia. I mean, he's going to, again, Conor Benn is going to be jumping in against Garcia, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be spots where if he gets past Garcia's reach, he's going to make Garcia do the boosty roll. But Garcia, that's what he wants. He wants a guy to go at him, especially a wide open guy like Conor Benn. And I know Conor Benn's relatively fast, faster than people give him credit for when it comes to cutting the distance. But Ryan Garcia's got that left hook, man, that comes out of nowhere. I don't think Conor Benn sees it. And by the way, what's the biggest puncher Conor Benn's ever fought? Chris Eubank, but he was dehydrated in both fights, so we can't really go with him, right? I think Ryan Garcia beats the guy. And people, I don't know. People bring up the Rolly Romero fight. Again, Rolly Romero didn't exactly school Ryan Garcia in there. Again, people keep making up, Rolly Romero, I can't believe he beat Ryan Garcia. How did he beat him? He was scared of Garcia too. Neither guy really wanted to do much. Conor Benn's going to have no choice. He will jump on Ryan Garcia, and I think he gets taken out.
I just think it depends which Ryan we get, BDA. I tell you, the last Ryan we got against Barrios was good, but the Ryan before that, look, I'm sick of losing money on this cunt.
Right.
Pardon my French. But you know what? I've got to say, under his old man, he seems to do better than when he goes with any big name trainer. When he goes with a Derek James, or when he goes with who was the other?
Joe Goosen.
Joe Goosen. I think he does better under his old man. He made the weight easy. First time he's been on weight and hasn't fought at a catch weight since I can't remember when. And made weight really well at 147. Not only did he show he's got a left hand against Barrios, but he dropped him with the right hand. So, but if we can get that Garcia again, and fucking Focus Garcia's a guy, a thing to behold, mate. I tell you, but I just don't know which Ryan we're going to get, man.
Well,
if he could put the fucking camera down for 8 weeks, BDA, put the camera down and take the shit serious, man. Like, I don't know. I just don't think you play the sport, man. I think he tries to play it a little bit too much, and it's when you fuck around and find out. It's that level of fuck around, or equivalent to the level of find out.
Yeah, I mean, I have a very little confidence in Ryan Garcia, and not because he's not talented or skilled, but it's because what you say, he's got options outside the ring. He doesn't need to train as hard because, I mean, he's always going to be able to make money. Well, maybe not always, but right now, as it stands, he can make money outside of boxing. So, I mean, and then he looked, I mean, his father, how much of a factor was he in that Barrios fight? I don't know, because I think Ryan Garcia, with or without a trainer, would have looked good against Barrios. Had he just come in shape, he would have been able to beat Barrios.
You know what I saw? I saw his old man giving him directions in the corner, and Ryan actually putting it to work in the round, man. And that all comes down to ring IQ, and I don't know, man. I think he does it right under his fucking old man.
Well, yeah, maybe you know what? Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe the father does manage to keep him in line or in check. Finally, right? You wouldn't have.
His old man's probably not a yes man, you know?
Right. Yeah,
when Joe Goosen comes out and says, Ryan Garcia is one of the best fighters I've ever had in my gym.
Yeah, when he says, you don't work with Ryan Garcia, you don't train Ryan Garcia, you collaborate with him. It's like, what? I mean,
exactly.
Hey, by the way, speaking of weird things that people say, I forgot to mention this. This is from 2 weeks ago. And this is from the Daily Mail sports section. So it's not AI generated or whatever. It's real. People checked it out. This is what they had to say about the Deontay Wilder-Chisora fight. Jeff Powell apparently wrote this. I don't know who the guy is, but apparently that's the guy who wrote it. Derek Chisora and Deontay Wilder delivered the fight of the century. A brutal, breathtaking brawl that will be remembered for decades at the O2 Arena. I mean, come on. Is this being written for people that don't know anything about boxing?
That sounds like a real thirsty fucking sports journalist. Like, that sounds like Suleiman.
It must be, right? Or somebody aligned with him, because usually, from what I understand about UK sports writers or any type of UK journalists, is that they're very vicious. They don't hold back. They're highly critical. And so for this guy to be deep-throating this fight as fight of the century, I mean, that is just weird. I'd never seen this. I thought people thought it was parody. It was a parody.
Well, that's someone who I don't think's ever watched boxing.
You know what? I think that's what it is. I think it's a guy who they grab somebody who doesn't really know about boxing, and they said, "Hey, man, you want to write an article and just
Can you do an article for us on this fight?
Yeah, just fluff it up. Just call it. Just be as sensational as possible, as bombastic as possible.
You know what that journalist said? I got this, boss.
Exactly. Yeah. This is what they told him.
Leave it to me.
When he
Watch this.
When he was giving them the preview of it and giving them the bylines and all that, this is what they said.
Oh, you gonna put the nuts in your mouth too? That's double bonus money.
That's right. He got all the way up to the balls, man. The dick and the balls.
Cesaro's even coming out talking about a rematch.
I thought he was retired. What the hell? Huh.
No. He's coming out yesterday. He was interviewed after the Tyson Fury Magomedov fight, and he said he wanted a rematch.
Well, there you go.
He thinks he was robbed. I thought he won the fight. If I'm honest,
yeah, I think you're right. I think an argument could be made that he won the fight.
Yeah, I think he won the fight, man. Do I want to see it again? Hell no.
Speaking of not, I don't want to say it was a little too sloppy for my taste. It certainly wasn't the fight of the century, as this guy from the Daily Mail or whatever was alluding to. I tell you what, another fight I don't think people want to see, a rematch I don't think people want to see though, is the Conor Benn Prograis one. Somebody captured this on Twitter. There's Eddie Hearn ringside yawning during the fight. It was either that or he was screaming obscenities at Conor Benn. I don't know. Again, I don't know if they, never trust a picture. But it did seem like he was a little bit bored by Conor Benn's performance. By the way, speaking of promoters against fighters, De La Hoya now is coming out, and he's got some interesting things to say about the Ortiz situation, because they were asking him about Zayas versus Ennis, and I think he's picking, who did he pick? He says he's picking Boots Ennis to beat Zayas, by the way. But then you check out what he had to say about the Ortiz situation.
And instead it winds up being Zayas.
No, it's sad that it had to happen this way, and I blame everything on Rick Meridian, the manager. It's just sad because now Virgil Ortiz is going to be sidelined while all these champions are going to be facing each other. You got Fundoro and the other kid who just won, Josh Kelly, I believe it was. They might be fighting as well, and then the winners will fight each other, and Ortiz is going to be left in the dust.
So now he's got sympathy for Ortiz, right? That's what he's saying. And then check this out.
It's very sad, and I called it. I literally want Virgil to come to his senses because he's a grown man, and let's patch things up and work things out so we can get these fights, in place.
Seems like they need some couples counseling. Now, I tell you why I'm always skeptical of anything that comes out of De La Hoya's mouth, as well as what goes into his nose. He should be more critical of that. But look, the point is this with De La Hoya. Because again, when I heard this, I said, okay, is he telling the truth? Is he genuine about wanting to patch things up with Ortiz? If he's lying, then he's just trying to come across as a guy that, hey, man, I'm not trying to ruin his career, right? Because I know there's going to be, if he does sideline Ortiz and refuses to talk with him, and just decides to let the contract just run out and not work with Ortiz. If that's even legal, by the way, I don't know if that's entirely possible. But anyway, then he comes across as a bad guy too. Some people are going to criticize him for it. Now, if he's being genuine, it's still a bad look for De La Hoya because remember, he started posting things about Ortiz's father. Which, by the way, let's say he's genuine in what he's saying here. It just goes to show you how impulsive De La Hoya is. He holds grudges. Beeb was talking about that yesterday too with Eric about, the Ringside Reporter. This is a guy that's very emotional, trigger happy, and in the moment, if he feels insulted, he's going to want to insult you back. And that's why he was posting all this stuff about Ortiz and Ortiz's father. And I'm thinking, that's why I think Ortiz, all right, you got a couple of fights left, or I don't know how many years left with De La Hoya. Just do it. Bite the bullet. And just work. Don't let your career go by the wayside, and just work with this dude. But then, as soon as the contract ends, or as soon as you can leave, because De La Hoya is. And again, I'm not saying he's the worst promoter out there, but again, he doesn't think in the moment. In the moment, if he feels hurt by somebody, he will try to hurt them back, and he doesn't care about how it looks. Because if he wouldn't have done that whole thing about Ortiz's father and all that, maybe Ortiz would be a little bit more willing or amenable to a deal. Or some sort of
I think he's too sensitive.
Exactly.
I think Oscar's a very sensitive dude, and he's very impulsive. And he can't be professional in those times, man. Like, look at what happened with Canelo.
Mm-hmm.
When Canelo split the sheets with him and went his own way, and you know, like what Oscar had to come out and say about Canelo. I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. If you know, see, Virgil's contract's written that poorly, and they signed it that if Virgil wins the belt, he automatically gets a 2-year extension.
Oh, huh.
So,
interesting.
Read the contract next time, dumbass.
Well, I mean, do we blame Rick Mirigan for
What
that?
you
Or?
got lawyers for? What's your manager for?
Yeah.
You know, why that fucking dickhead get you to sign that contract and convince you can wiggle your way out of it?
He needs you know what Ortiz needs? He needs my friend Rafael Shapiro to represent him, because Rafael Shapiro does not take a retainer.
No win, no fee.
No, but I mean, but Rafael Shapiro is what the kids nowadays call a real one. But yeah, I mean, remember, De La Hoya is the type of guy that'll say one thing one day and then change his tune the next. I mean, when Canelo tested positive back in 2018 with that PD test, De La Hoya was defending him. He's like, no. And then when he was exonerated, when Canelo was proved his innocence or whatever, De La Hoya's like, see, I told you. But then as soon as he falls out of favor with Canelo, he starts calling him Canelo and blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, you were defending him years ago, and now all of a sudden he's guilty. So which one is it? Were you lying back then, or are you just now a little prissy because he left you? I mean, it's again, I don't really trust De La Hoya, and Top Rank now are proving, even while they didn't find a home, or while they were homeless for a year now, or a year and a half, their guys were still beating other people in other promotions.
They had without a network and a pot to piss in, BDA, they had 14 champions.
There you go. And they're still the best at reading talent or scouting talent.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Top Rank should probably be the way where Ortiz should go. Now, I don't know how deep the Top Rank stable is, but now that everyone's under the zone umbrella, I suspect that the zone is going to start pressuring more of these promoters, saying, look, you want to get paid, you want these side fees, you got to work with other promoters, and you got to make the fights that we want you to make. Plain and simple. So, we'll see if that happens. Hey, by the way, yes.
Sorry, I was just going to say the thing with Virgil too, with Rick Meridian and all that kerfuffle over the contract. I mean, there was an offer that came from Eddie Hearn and Matchroom for Virgil Ortiz to take $16 million for a 3-fight deal. So, you know, there's also Eddie the Grub, and Eddie would know that there's no way Virgil's going to weasel his way out of a contract. And tell me this: why didn't DAZN sign Golden Boy until after that Virgil case went to court? They didn't have they were working on a fight-by-fight contract since December 31st, 2025. That was when their contract expired, when their network contract expired. And they just signed it now after all this bullshit comes out about Virgil. So, I mean, you know...
I think that was De La Hoya. That's why he already knew what was up. He was had it in his back pocket. He's like, Virgil, it's not too late. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, Sobers.
Knowing he was going to burn his ass if he had to.
Just going to shelve him. Just going to do a Mikey Garcia with him.
But it is suspect timing there, Carl. I think you're onto something there. And speaking of being onto something and promotional outfits and all that, we know that, or people suspect that the reason why all these other promotional outfits are now conferring or falling under the DAZN umbrella is to counter Zuffa TKO's entry into boxing. Well, Eddie Hearn was asked, because I don't know if people remember we talked about this on Friday, but Richardson Hitchens and Edgar Berlanga are now in Zuffa TKO. They're there. They've been signed to a deal. So people are wondering what's going on. What's Richardson Hitchens? He's not exactly must-see TV. So this is what Eddie Hearn, one of Hitchens' former promoters, had to say about that signing.
I don't want to say things that people think I'm, speaking badly about them, but I think it's generally, like, if you look at the options they had, I mean, neither guy's been under contract to us for over a year now. We withdrew any interest in them a couple of months ago. I don't think they have many options. Like Edgar particularly, I think it's a great deal for Edgar, because Edgar's, an exciting fight. I don't think he's necessarily going to win world championships, but financially, this is a good opportunity for him. I think it's going to be really interesting what happens with Richardson, because
you don't think he had a lot of options?
Who? He didn't. No. Who made him off?
All right. So somebody said you don't think Richardson Hitchens had a lot of options, and Eddie Hearn's like, I'm surprised. He goes, no. Who was offering something? And then check out what he has to say.
Top Rank weren't interested. Golden Boy had a chat with him. We withdrew our offer like a month or so ago because of like, when he said what he said after the Cambozas fight. In my head, I'm not working with him again. But we had some chats. We fell out with Keith Connolly, and I said I'm just not going to work with Keith Connolly fighters. So I said I'm sorry, I can't work with you on Richardson. So Mac.
Bingo. Just say that, Eddie, you fuckwit.
This is the
Why
same
did
interview I
it
was talking
take us?
about earlier.
Why did it take us that long to get to that sentence?
This is the same interview I was talking about earlier when they asked him about Deontay Wilder being a tune-up for Joshua. He's like, what? That's why he was like, when he brought up Richardson Hitchens, he was like, what do you mean he doesn't have a lot of options? No one wants to see that fucking lame fight.
Yeah, I mean, what's up with this? So it must have been. It sounds like it must have been the same reporter. First of all, what? Like you're saying Hitchens doesn't have? I mean, you're telling me the guy who's boring as hell doesn't have any options? Wow, how does that work? But Richardson Hitchens, a lot of people are criticizing him for not wanting to fight the best. People are saying that that this is why he's signing with Zuffa. Maybe it's not necessarily that he doesn't want to fight the best. It's just that, like Eddie Hearn said, well, and again, take what he's saying with a grain of salt, but he's saying Tom Brand wasn't interested. De La Hoya had a little chat with him. Although, see, he said Tom Brand weren't interested, but then he didn't say that De La Hoya wasn't interested. So I don't know if it's...
You know what, BDA? How long have we been hearing about Bitchins going to Zuffa for? It's been over a month. And you notice Eddie says that we pulled our offer a month ago. Oh, I wonder why that is, Eddie. That's because that was about the time Zuffa was starting to take over a few big names and you started getting a bit fucking shirty. And that's when you started realising there's a couple of guys in your fucking stable that might not be with you for much longer.
Right. But then that begs the question, what is the end game with Hitchens? I mean, there were rumors that he was...
Money.
Yes. That's just it. Money. There you go. Plain and simple.
Money. That's it. Plain and simple. Some dudes fight for it, man. I'm not a follower of those type dudes, but a lot of them just fight for the money, mate. They fight for the money and they want to get the most money they can as quick as they can, and yeah.
Well, the big question too was that Zuffa TKO, they're adamant about going back to the old weight classes, 8 weight classes, so no more in betweens. Hitchens fights at 140. Now, this is him in the build-up to on fight week for the Cambozos fight. And look at how dehydrated he looked. I mean, he looked like that's not even Richardson Hitchens in there. That looks like he just came out of a POW camp. I mean, it's just, I don't know if he if he insists on fighting at 140. He looks like one of those what?
Those kids from Botswana. We're talking about
the ones that we were talking about. He looks horrible. I don't know what's going to happen with him, and I think it would behoove Zuffa TKO to say, you know what, screw 140. I know you want to keep your title or whatever, because he's got a belt, right? He's got a strap, I think.
He'll lose it. Right. He didn't fight Duarte. Now he's going to, we've seen what the IBF did with Jai Pattaya, so they're going to strip him. He's going to go to welterweight. He's got to fight at 147 because he can't go to 135. The guy looks like a fucking walking zombie there, like a skeleton with skin.
Yeah.
He's not going to 35. He'll be going to welterweight, mate. Yes. The thing I want to know, BDA, is I actually saw, I've met some fucking retarded fucks on this YouTube in the 7 years I've been here, bro. But I've got to say something that I saw one of the most retarded fucking videos yesterday of a guy that said that Edgar Berlanga signed with Zuffa so he could fight Jai Pattaya.
I mean,
and I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. So there's a couple other guys there. He can fight at light heavyweight. He can fight the likes of Vosdik. He can fight the likes of Hot Rod. And I think both of those guys beat the fuck out of Berlanga. But he definitely is not getting in the ring with Jai Pattaya. Video, I've seen it all now, man. I've seen it all.
Actually, you know what, though? If they did make that fight, Berlanga versus Opetaya, I would actually become a Zuffa TKO fan. I'm like, oh, they're going to do crazy stuff like that? And I mean, come on, who wouldn't want to see Berlanga talking down to Opetaya like, I'm going to beat you up, bro. I'm going to decapitate you. That's just the way it is. And then he gets fucking knocked out cold in 3 rounds. I mean, come on, you wouldn't want to see that, Carl?
I'm sick of Jai. Jai's got to buy a hospital. He needs to buy a hospital or build one next to the Meta Center. Because if they're going to start feeding him guys like that, man, they're going to have to,
I don't know.
Have to have a hospital real close by.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's not in his death wish.
And you know what?
He might be dumb, but he's not stupid.
I mean, that listen, if Zuffa TKO goes back to the 8 weight classes, then it would make a certain amount of sense, right? Because Berlanga is pretty much a light heavyweight. A couple more pounds, you're a cruiserweight now. I know, actually, excuse me, what am I talking about? They're if they're sticking to the 8 classes, yeah, that makes no sense. No, it would have to be a heavyweight fight above light heavyweight. Yeah, it makes no sense. Yeah, that makes no sense. Makes no sense.
Well, they are having the cruiserweight division because they've got the scariest one on the planet.
That's true.
So they've made an exception. And you know what, BDA? I think you'll find these weight classes will change, and they'll change them to their requirements as they start to build a stable and start to get some guys where they can actually put a decent roster together of 135, 140 pounders, say.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they're just going to use this to build these 8 divisions, but I think they're definitely going to have to start branching out, especially when you get down to the lower divisions, bro. Below 160 and to featherweight or something like that. Like you're just going to have to do that to get these guys over there. But I think to start off, man, this is what we're going to get.
I believe so. Yeah, again, we're barely a year into the Zuffa TKO thing. Although I will say, though, we're barely into Berlanga's entry with Zuffa TKO, his association, and you can tell that Dana White is already kind of regretting maybe signing Edgar Berlanga. Check this out. Oh, I got to mute the music there, but yeah, so you see they got some sort of like a Zoomer music there. And Berlanga's dancing along to it, lip syncing. Dana White looks like he wants to be anywhere but. Look at it. I mean, what is going on here?
Can I just say that as a 48-year-old man, I can move way better than that cunt.
Yeah, but I think Berlanga's eating too many shots, man. I don't think he can dance anymore, and I don't know if his coordination is going to be there for his next fight. Hasn't
he got a song out too? Hasn't he released a song?
Yeah, I think so. Hey, but by the way, has Berlanga fought since the Shiraz fight?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so, right? Yeah, I don't think he has had any type of tune-up fight. So, interesting. By the way, too, speaking of Dana White, they asked him about a potential fight against Eddie Hearn, because apparently Turki Al-Sheikh joked around saying that he would actually be willing to stage that fight. So here's what Dana White had to say after the Saturday's UFC event.
I'm 56 years old. I'm going to be 57 in July. I fight to get out of bed every day, okay?
Eddie Hearn, Tito Ortiz, you're a guy very much in demand. You could get on the White House card if you wanted.
Well, Tito's dumb as hell, but Tito's not a pussy. Eddie Hearn's a pussy. Eddie Hearn ain't boxing anybody. Fucking posting pictures of himself hitting the fucking speed bag. It looks like it's in slow motion. Yeah. Eddie Hearn. If that did happen, me and Eddie Hearn are bums. We would be the first fight of the night. These guys are talking like we're going to headline some fucking card or some shit like that. Bums, okay? Whoever was talented on that card should be insulted if he and I were anywhere near any other slot other than the first fight of the night, and it shouldn't even be on TV.
Hasn't tried to do it.
Yeah.
Has he?
You don't think Turkey would try to do that fight?
Did Turkey make you an offer?
Of course they did. Yeah.
That'd be big on Netflix.
Huh?
It would be big on Netflix.
Yeah, probably.
Then at the end there, Dana White starts looking a little bit annoyed by this type of was that a sycophantic the guy, there was a reporter trying to be too friendly there with Dana White, like, hey, that would be a big fan of Netflix, come on, why don't you do it, like, come on. Are these really the questions that people, and I know this is what gets.
That was an agent. I was one of Turkey's voice.
Yeah.
Did they make you an offer?
You know what I find strange, BDA, is when anyone interviews Dana White, they're always trying to get an exclusive out of him. They're always trying to get some, like, can you give me some goss? Like, will you fight Eddie Hearn? Like, everyone's always thirsty for a fucking, I don't know, for a news flash or some.
Well, that's the name of the game nowadays. That's everybody, man. Everybody. That's why whenever somebody interviews a fighter, a boxer, is like, hey, this guy said this about you. I mean, I remember there was one time, and this is where you gotta give Tank Davis credit. Somebody brought this up to Tank. He's like, and it was recently, about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. He's like, hey, Naoya Inoue said that all you have for him is power, and then Tank Davis like, what? He goes, he didn't say that. Come on, he didn't say that. And then he just moved on for it. So again, it's these people that are just making shit up now on top of that. to try to get a reaction out of the fan and say, "Oh, he said that one. Screw him." I mean, it's and you know what they do sometimes? It's like Ellie Sabic and all these other websites. Sometimes what they'll do is they can't be at a certain event, so they send somebody with the questions already on hand. And I remember one time there was this one guy interviewing Robert Garcia, and I forget which big YouTube or website it was, but it wasn't the usual guy asking the questions. It was somebody else, and he sounded very monotonous. So he goes, and this is what I hate in interviews. This is when you know the interviewer is not there to actually have a conversation with the interviewee. He goes like, "What do you think about Canelo's chances against moving up to light heavyweight?" And then Robert Garcia goes, I think Canelo, he has this and that, and and he answers the question, and then the guy goes, "What do you think about blah 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 blah?" Another question. So Robert Garcia answers the question, and then he says something interesting. Garcia says something interesting, and instead of building up on that, the interview just goes, "Okay, what do you think about it?" I hate that. It's like when there's that brief silence after an answer, and it's just okay, and then a completely different question. No follow-up, no nothing. It's just like, I'm just here to ask my questions. I want to get my $20 and my taco, and then I'm out of here. You know what I mean? It's like it's not a real interview. And again, it just goes to Carl's point is that they always want this gotcha.
Are you taking shots at Southpaw Lefty, VDA?
Ah, come on. No, somebody else took a shot at Southpaw in the Discord in the last 3 days, and I'm not gonna have that. He's not here to defend himself, so we're not gonna go there. But yeah, I really do. It just goes to Carl's point of these people wanting to get that one thing that they can put in the headline, and again, because it's a business, it's what sells, right? What gets views, what gets clicks, and so on. Speaking of money. And I don't have too much confidence in this MMA Joey character because I don't know much about MMA, but I know enough about this dude that he's aligned himself with the Luke Thomas guy, and they're trying to get. Okay, long story short, they've been accusing Dana White of politicizing the UFC, right? But then these guys are playing right along with that. So again, maybe I need somebody like Sobers to tell me if this is correct or incorrect. But MMA Joey said, "Holy shit, UFC 327 is completely empty."
That guy's a liberal cuck. I'll just put it out there right now.
Right, okay, that's good to confirm that. But look at this, he's showing the UFC event there in Florida, I think it was, Saturday, and they were saying that it was highly empty. It didn't do, and apparently now they're coming out with figures saying it was the lowest UFC event in Florida or something like that. So how much of this is fact, how much context is missing, or is there any context missing in any of these solvers?
I mean, if it's not selling well, I mean, it just wasn't advertised well. It wasn't a great card. That's what I've been saying this about MMA, about the UFC. You know, monetarily, it's in the best place it's ever been, but like entertainment-wise, roster-wise, it's been in a downward spiral since like 2016. You know what I'm saying? So it's been trending downward. The way they do the matchmaking, the cards are oversaturated. They can't find any stars. They're having too many like spats between the promoters, like Dana White, letting Francis Ngannou go. That was a big mistake. And then he did it again, like almost immediately afterwards with Tom Aspinall. Why are you have these heavyweight champions, these guys that could be selling tickets for you, and you're beefing with them? You know what I'm saying? Like we talk shit about De La Hoya, Oscar. And everyone's sucking Dana White's nuts. He's a fucking idiot too. If he doesn't like you, he doesn't like you. You know what I mean? There was it's not new.
He's got a big ego too.
He's not new. There was Fedor Emelianenko. Emelianenko. He was considered the best heavyweight in MMA history, and he never fought in the UFC because of Dana White, right? And now you have it happen 2 more times with 2 other heavyweight champions. Go ahead, Carl.
Look at Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt,
exactly.
Well, what happened with Mark Hunt?
He won millions off the UFC. He sued the UFC for millions and won.
Because they let him knowingly fight someone on steroids, Brock Lesnar. They knew he was juiced up, and they let him fight. He was failing drug tests, and they still pushed him to fight.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll say this, man, about Dana White, because again, the guy, you can tell the guy's got a big ego. We've heard the stories from back home. We've heard the stories about him from back home in Massachusetts. In Boston. But yeah, he's a guy that he got very wealthy of the UFC, and so every time he does these press conferences, it's like the emperor holding court. Everyone's got to ask him questions. Everyone's got to wait their turn. So that can go to a guy's head. The Lord, yeah.
Can I just say, for me, the UFC died the day the likes of Chuck Liddell, Rampage Jackson, Forrest Griffin, Stephen Bonner, Rashad Evans, dudes that had good stand-up and knocked motherfuckers out. When that left the UFC and we started getting guys fucking hugging on the ground, man. Like the wrestling and the fucking and the
You know what it
whatever
was?
you call it.
Just like you're saying, Carl. That last era that died, that started like in the mid 2000s, like 2000, like 6 and up to like 2016, bro. When those guys started, when they had that push from Pride, when they bought Pride out, and they basically just brought Pride fighters to the United States through the UFC. That's what really carried them for a while. And when those guys all started clocking out, they struggled to really replace them star power wise, right? So you know what I mean? Like the UFC didn't really build these guys. They just took Pride's best older aging fighters and promoted them on the UFC, and they're badasses. So they were just badasses anywhere.
Well, that's the thing, though. Is like I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know about the UFC anymore because I haven't been watching it hardcore for close to a decade. So I don't know who's whom now. But what I'm hearing from you guys is that it's boring now. And first of all, I wanted to say this about Dana White. I don't know if this MMA Joey, because again, you guys are telling me that certified liberal that he is, so he's biased when it comes to this. But Dana White too. I mean, if you're the head of a company, and it's an entertainment avenue, right? It's combat sports is entertainment. I don't think you should be trying. You should be so open about who you align with politically, and then start, bringing that into the sport because you're gonna alienate people. That's just the way it works. If you're it's the same thing with the taking knees in NFL and all that during the Summer of Love. I mean, it's just keep that out of sports because sports is a refuge in the West for people, right? You shouldn't be doing that because now you're gonna alienate your audience. It's as if I start getting political here in this show. No,
it's like celebrities. It's like Hollywood stars telling you how to vote. You know what I mean? Like in them fucking $1 million Beverly Hills mansions, telling you how to fucking live. They've never fucking struggled for a thing in their life.
Mm-hmm.
They've never had to wonder what they're putting on the table.
The carbon footprint. Shut up.
Yeah, and
fuck them, man. Like, just stick to your genre. Stay in your lane, motherfucker.
Exactly. Because I've seen it before. I've seen it happen way too often, man. People start getting people start thinking, well, they're doing a show about cooking or whatever, and then all of a sudden they start getting views, and it starts getting to their head like, well, hey, people are interested in everything that if people are interested in my cooking, then they're probably going to be interested in anything that I do. So let me start talking about politics, and then they just. And now, of course, I'm exaggerating. I don't think I've ever seen a guy or a person do a cooking show and then they start getting political, but. It's like, come on, you got keep things separate, is what I'm saying. Now, again, I don't know about I haven't the few times that I've gone on sobers to watch the UFC recently. It's they're boring fights, and if indeed,
I will say this: the card on Saturday that was really entertaining.
All right, there you go.
Right, they just don't have any good they don't have any names anymore. They don't have any, they're promoting that as well.
Was there a guy from New Zealand that beat that Jerry?
Oh my God, that was crazy! That was one of the craziest fucking knockouts I've ever seen. So they're fighting, right? And Oldberg, his knee gives out. You can tell he has an injury mid-fight. Like he steps on it. Takes a step back, and his knee almost gives out. Jiri notices. He starts kicking him in the leg. He has him, right? He just needs to keep kicking him in the leg. The guy's gonna go down from the injury. But then Jiri starts, he starts thinking he's a badass. He points to the floor like saying, "Come fight me over here." So Oldberg goes, "Okay," and he runs up to him and starts beating his ass. So I'm like, "Oh, that was the first red flag." Right, this guy has no knee. He's whooping your ass, and then it looks like Jiri has a moment of like mercy. Right, he could attack him, but he kind of doesn't. He kind of just keeps feinting, and he takes too long. Oldberg catches him with the left hook. He falls over, and then it was really bad. It was a really bad sequence because he looks like he knocked him out like 5 times. He's on the ground, and he starts hitting him in the face, and his body jolts with every shot. You know what I'm saying? And he does it to him about 4 or 5 times. Before the referee can stop him. It was a really hilarious fight. Very entertaining, bro, I'm telling you, but they just don't promote it well no more.
Well, that's what I wanted to say about boxing. But real quick, just when it comes to the boxing thing, I've said this before. Because, again, I don't know if that's the UFC's problem. That's what I'm hearing from you guys. And what I've been hearing from other sources is that people don't find the recent UFC main events all that entertaining. But it's the same thing with boxing. I mean, again, people think, whoa, boxing. Out of all the problems that boxing has, one of the big complaints is we don't get the big fights, boxing is dead, blah, 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 right? It's not the product itself with boxing that is bad, because if you, I keep saying it, boxing didn't drop out of favor with the American audience and a lot of audiences out there because it was boring or because people got disinterested in it. What happened was it went away onto cable television, premium cable with HBO and Showtime. So the general public lost interest, forgot about it. But boxing was a popular sport since the turn of the 20th century, it was the biggest sport for a while there, along with baseball and horse racing. And why is that? Because boxing, under the Marquis of Queensberry rules, it's one of the most entertaining sports out there. To me, it's the most entertaining sport out there, especially when it's well done, like a steak. But once you get all these fucking special clauses in there, the manipulation of the weighing system, now it's 36 hours. So you get mismatches between a weight bully and a non-weight bully. The lack of implementation of the rules, when you allow guys to clinch and when you allow guys to run around the ring shaking their asses, pot shotting one punch at a time, and people call that brilliant boxing. All of this accumulates and ends up turning the sport into what we have now. But if you start enforcing the rules, I guarantee you we start seeing more entertaining matchups, and once you put that out on the main stage, people are going to be interested in it again. So maybe it's the same similar thing with the UFC. I don't know. Or maybe it's just... Maybe it's just the fact that all these lay and pray guys dominate the sport. It's just that's just the way it works. I don't know. So we'll see what happens.
You know what I think it is? You know what I think it is, BDA? I've my mates that they know I'm a diehard tragic fucking boxing fan. All my mates know that I'm a tragic. And when I talk to them and I try to explain to them about sanctioning bodies, I lose them after I explain the IBF to them, bro. They're like, what the fuck? And then you try and explain, the WBC and, how all of these sanctioning bodies align with certain promotions. And, people start to think, oh, fuck, well, I'm not going to support that. But if you look at a business model like the UFC, and I'm not saying the UFC now because clearly they're losing interest because the best aren't fighting the best. And in my eyes, mate, when the best don't fight the best and you hear excuses, you start losing the casuals, mate. And let's be honest, they're not going to make all their money off us because we're there every week, regardless. You could feed us you could shit on a plate and call it meatloaf. We're going to eat it.
That's right.
But the casual fan's not going to do that, bro. You've got to sell, and you've got to be a good seller, mate. And casuals want blood. They want blood for their dollar. They want to get value for money, man. They want what we call bang for your buck.
Absolutely.
And you start watering down fights and, talking, bringing in fucking hydration clauses and, things like that and talk about guys fighting at catch weights and casuals just can't comprehend that shit. And I think that's where the UFC, I've spoken with Sobers about this before, man, about, like the UFC starting to lose audience because the best aren't fighting the best. John fucking Jones is sitting on his ass doing nothing, chasing guys in his fucking pickup truck. Instead of fighting people, mate. You know what I mean? Like it's and the UFC starting to fall on their sword because the best aren't fighting the best.
Well, that is a problem. That's always going to be a problem in any combat sports. And you're right. The casuals are the ones that drive the sport or the big events to a certain degree because you look at the big fights in boxing, it's when you want to get to 1 million pay-per-view buys, you got to get casuals in there because that 300,000 pay-per-view mark that they pop the champagne bottles open for nowadays, that's really the best. At best, that's the best of the boxing core. The rest, the 700,000 pay-per-view, that's casuals. That's when you get a De La Hoya or when you got a De La Hoya or a Canelo nowadays or a Joshua. You need those casuals, and the casuals don't want to see a Devin Haney versus Brian Norman performance. They don't want to see a Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez performance. They want to see a guy actually go out there and put string together a couple of combinations and do some damage.
They want blood.
They want
blood.
Yeah.
They want blood. It's really easy, man. It's a fucking really easy business model. Really is. And that's why I say, like, all the guys you just mentioned, man, they should never be the fucking main fight. They should be a co-main, but they should never be the pay-per-view because they're not that type of guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, once Canelo's gone, who's the next guy? Who's the next big seller in boxing, bro? Who's got the big audience? Who's got the fan base behind him?
You bring
outside
up a
of Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, like who we got? Because to me, look, the way I've seen David Benavidez hanging around Ryan Garcia, like to me, David seems a bit thirsty. David seems to me like he's hanging on these fucking Ryan Garcia podcasts. He's trying to build his audience off the back of Ryan.
Yeah, to a certain degree.
Like, who the fuck's who's gonna sell the sport, man? Who's gonna take that step?
Well, Benavidez.
You know what, man? That's why I look at a guy like Xander Zayas, man. Like, I've never been big on Xander, right? I've followed Xander since he was fucking 17, 18. Never been that high on him. But you know what? He's 23. He's a unified champion, and he's taken on arguably the boogeyman at 154, the guy that apparently no one wanted to fight at 147. And now all of a sudden, Xander turns around and says, I'll take him. And you know what? We looked it up today, BDA. That fight's actually sold 60% of that arena already.
There you go.
In what? In 5 days?
Now, I don't know if
Boots and Xander.
somebody on Twitter said that's from the resellers. That's what they grab up the tickets right off the bat. But I don't know if that's true or not. But still, I think it should sell well because it's a Puerto Rican in New York against Boots Ennis, who's from Philadelphia. It's not that far away from New York. So it should do well at the gate. I don't know about pay-per-view, but I know at the gate it's probably going to do well. But to your point, Benavidez is a guy who should be a bigger star. But fighting at cruiserweight, especially if he stays at cruiserweight, that's going to be bad news because, like we were talking about earlier, nobody knows about cruiserweight. Not even hardcore boxing fans don't. A lot of them don't care about the cruiserweight division. So Benavidez is a guy who should be entertaining or should be more famous because he is entertaining. But if he goes to cruiserweight, you're only as good as your opposition, and there's nobody other than Opetaya. He's not going to fight Opetaya, I don't think so. Unless he fights Opetaya, he's in a bit of a bind. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention was that. Tank Davis too, same thing. He could have been a big star, but that's it depends on who you fight too. You look at the common. But you know what? But that's the thing though, Carl. The common denominator for being a big box office star, you got to fight the best. You got to have names available, and that De La Hoya, Mayweather, Pacquiao, Canelo. And that's the thing about Canelo. His recent fights weren't all that entertaining. I'd said that before. But at least he was coming forward, dropping guys, trying to get the stoppage as best he could. And on top of that, he was proven on the marketplace that that's what people wanted to see. That's what his fans wanted to see. But if you're going out there throwing one punch at a time and clinching, and people are leaving the arena 2 rounds before they announce the decision, something's wrong there. That should be a red flag right there.
100%. 100%. And, even look at a guy like Tank Davis, man. Like, love him or hate him, he's got an audience. He's got an audience that and one thing I like about Tank is he does have that one punch that can change a fight. He could be getting beaten round after round, and he can lure someone into that big shot and knock him out. Mm-hmm. And, all the bullshit that goes on in Tank's life, his private life, that just gets blurted out on social media, on the news for everyone to see. People are still tuned into that shit, man. Look at when Mike Tyson raped Desiree Washington. Like, he went to jail for it. When he came out of jail, he was an even bigger star. Like, the people get attracted to this because, let's be honest, man, like, boxers aren't exactly, the long-term planning types and the top-of-the-class ducks in school and, come from real wealthy families. Like, these dudes are just your average Joe that just come from the street, man. And everyone loves a good comeback story. And, like Tank Davis, you can say what you want, but the guy can sell. He can knock a motherfucker out.
Yeah, at least. Even though the build-up to some of his knockouts are very boring and mundane, at least he's knocking people out. And again, there's the unfortunate thing about Tank Davis is that, you're right, there's a lot of interest in him, but once it actually comes to the fights themselves, nobody really buys them on pay-per-view. So, again, that's a general problem here for some of these guys. Speaking of problems, by the way, don't forget to hit the like. Help us out here. Help us out in the morning. It takes one click, and you help us out with a thumbs up. It's the BD Morning Show. We've been on here for close to 2 hours. Hopefully, we've been able to get you through the morning here. And speaking, like I said, problems. We had Juan Francisco Estrada, who is one of the best fighters, of the lower weight classes in the last 15 years, I'd say 20 years. He fought everybody. He fought Chocolatito 3 times, Cesar Quetzalcoatl Visay twice, and he beat those guys. He fought a bunch of other good fighters too, like, I forget the names, but the Filipino guy who was in the feeder early on. He beat Brian Viloria too, on top of that, another fighter of Filipino origin. He beat a bunch of guys like Hernan El Taisoncito Marquez, and just go on and on and on and on. He beat and fought almost everybody with the exception of Inoue and Ioka. And this past Saturday, via the Zone in the morning, it seems like it's the end of Juan Francisco.
Viloria was Hawaiian.
Excuse me?
I thought Brian Viloria was Hawaiian. Did they call him Hawaiian Punch?
But I think he's from Hawaii, but of Filipino origin, I think. I could be wrong. I remember he fought Giovanni what was his name? Giovanni Solis? I think that was his name. A big puncher back in the... I forgotten about that. He's the one that finally ended Ivan Calderon's reign back in the 2000s. But anyway, Francisco Estrada ended up suffering a broken rib in his defeat against Tenshin Nasukawa. That's why he pulled out of the fight in the 8th round, I want to say. Somewhere along those lines. And he wasn't going to beat Nasukawa. Nasukawa showed up there big, southpaw on top of that, younger than Estrada. And Estrada gave it a good old go, as they say in England. He was stringing combinations together, trying to go to the body. But every time he would land something, Nasukawa would come back with something bigger. And every time he hit Estrada, or almost every time, he would just push Estrada off of him. So it's unsurprising then to see him quit based off that broken rib. I mean, that's really going to affect your breathing and all that. So, and by the way, Estrada had been pretty much retired at that point. He hadn't fought since the Bam Rodriguez loss. So it was interesting to see him coming back. And we're going to have a lot more to say about that Bam Rodriguez win, because this Estrada loss brought up the Bam name back into the limelight here. But also on the undercard, Pedro Guevara, this was a bad event. I mean, the main event was okay, but the co-main, as they like to call it, was Pedro Guevara against Tomoya Tsuboi. And it ended in the 2nd round, I think, due to a headbutt. Well, apparently Guevara is out of the hospital, and he didn't suffer any major injuries or anything of that sort. But the way he went down from that headbutt, it seemed like he really hurt. And he was on the ground for what seemed like hours. And they took their sweet-ass time in getting a stretcher or getting any help to him. They just kept asking him, are you all right? Are you all right? And it seems like they were just making time to figure out what the result of the fight was going to be. And then as soon as they waved it off, then immediately people jump in the ring with the stretcher and all that. So it was kind of weird seeing him lying there on the ground and people just hovering over him, just talking to him instead of actually getting him out of the ring as quickly as possible. But then what happened was, again, Estrada ended up losing this fight by stoppage. So that was one of the biggest names on Jesse Bam Rodriguez's record. So people on Twitter started coming out and saying, whoa, this ain't Bam's resume isn't aging all that well. This is what one of the guys said. He said, this SC Boxing, he says, how many of Bam Rodriguez's opponents weren't shells of themselves? Then on top of that, True School Sports was a good channel. And as far as I've never talked to the guy, but as far as I know, he's a real boxing fan, to the point where people actually criticize him for, you're always obsessed with the Japanese boxing. That means you're a boxing hipster. But I mean, again, I think he knows his boxing, but he also appears to have some criticism of Bam Rodriguez. He said the truth is coming to the light more and more with how Bam has been moved in his career. So he's going beyond just criticism and asserting here or suggesting that Bam's career has been moved carefully by matching him up against old fighters or fighters who were past their peak. And because, again, Tenshin Nasukawa apparently, and I didn't even know this, but he was the guy that got beaten by Floyd Mayweather in an exhibition in one round. Remember that? He's a kickboxer. So some people are casting aspersions on that, saying, well, if a kickboxer could come in here and just beat one of the greatest little fighters of all time, of the last 20 years rather, then what does that say about boxing? What does that say about Bam Rodriguez's career? And then somebody replied to that saying, y'all's narrative is mind-blowing. The guy that KO'd Bam, the guy that got KO'd by Floyd in one round beats an even older Estrada, and y'all question Bam. Bam left Estrada lying on the floor in the fetal position, kicking his feet. You can't compare these Japanese fighters to Bam. There is a reason Mr. Honda doesn't want Bam beating up on them. And True School Sports said, it's not a narrative, it's reality. So the guy replied by saying, so Bam beats up Estrada. Oh, Estrada is old. Bam beats up old fighters. This guy fights the same fighter 2 years later and being stopped and run out of a division in total praise. Like, get out of here with that noise. Y'all are just Bam haters. And the thread went on and on here. But I think, look, when it comes to Bam Rodriguez, I think there is some valid criticism being made about the quality of his opposition and the age of his opposition. I was very high on Bam after he beat Cesar Sorongvisai in 2022 because I said, whoa, this guy didn't run away from Sorongvisai. He stood in there in front of him and managed to stop him. And Sorongvisai has got a very good chin, good power. Yeah, he was 40 years old, I believe, and hadn't fought in over a year or close to a year. But hey, Bam took him out. But then when Bam went the distance against Israel Hernandez and Chicharito Hernandez, or Gonzalez, I forget the guy's name. He's the guy that fractured Bam's jaw. I said, okay, we got to hold our horses now here. I think Bam is very good, but he's not quite the destroyer that people were making him out to be. Also, by the way, when he fought Quadras was a little bit past it too. So then for a little while there, Bam wasn't exactly fighting the best and all that. Then he took, after he had to rest after that fractured jaw. Then he comes back against Sonny Edwards. Now, I was asking people in the Discord, I mean, in the group here, in the panel at that time, because I wasn't sure if how Benn was going to look against Sonny Edwards. Sonny Edwards was very quick, very elusive. But finally, I showed people clips of the fights, and the panelists convinced me, now, look, Bam's going to beat him. So I said, okay, I'm going to pick Bam then. I'm with you guys. And sure enough, that's what happened. Bam ended up wiping the floor with Sonny Edwards. So that's when I said, okay, this guy's very, very good. But then when they started talking about, oh, nobody, the only guy who can beat him is Inoue, I said, well, hold your horses. Again, he still has a lot of work to do at 115 pounds. But then he beat Cafu. The way he did it was very impressive. Again, Estrada, he was past it. He hadn't fought in close to 2 years. He was pretty much retired. Okay, I didn't really rank that win that high. But then the one that I wanted to see was him against Martinez, and he wasn't even close. And I know Martinez struggled against Ioka in the rematch, but guess what? Ioka is another underrated guy from the last 20 years that a lot of people didn't pay attention to. So if you give a guy like that, even though he's older, you give him a second shot at you, he's going to improve upon the first performance. And that's what he did against Martinez. But Martinez, even though he was 34, he's a tough dude, very active, and he wasn't even close. That's the thing. He wasn't even close. And it's not like Bam Rodriguez ran and clinched his way to a decision. I mean, he stood right in front of the guy. Martinez was a very aggressive guy and beat him up and stopped him. So I think looking at that, Bam deserves a lot of praise, but it doesn't change the fact. But real quick, it doesn't change the fact that it's true. A lot of his opposition was old, and yes, some of his opponents have gone on to lose subsequent fights and not look all that great, and sometimes even retire. But again, how is that? First of all, well, that's a separate argument whether it's Bam's fault or not. But is that really the way to gauge a guy's opposition? Because I've sometimes done that too. I say, well, the guy, look at his opposition, his best wins haven't aged well. Is that the mark? Is that the benchmark for judging a win, or is it what happened at the time or before the fight? Is that the real gauging that we should be focusing on, and not what happened thereafter? Hindsight 2020.
Well, you know what, BDA, I just want to quickly jump in. Since the Hernandez fight, he's stopped every motherfucker in their tracks. And 3 of those 5 guys had perfect records.
Right.
Outside of Estrada and Gueva, they had perfect fucking records, mate. Now, look, BT from True School Sports, I love him. He was one of the first channels I ever listened to on YouTube. But he is a massive Chocolatito fan. Massive Chocolatito fan. So in my opinion, any commentary he gives on Estrada, I think he's going to be a little biased towards the hate side of Estrada. Mate, let me tell you, Estrada is a first ballot Hall of Famer, a walking Hall of Famer, still fighting today. And look at the type of guys that he's taking on at the end of his career, BDA. Look at the type of guys that Estrada's fighting right now at the end of his career after 50 fights. Have a look at what Estrada's doing, man. Now, say what you want about the guy, but that dude fought everyone. And people and had one of the best trilogies that we've seen in boxing was Estrada Chocolatito. But he was a massive Chocolatito fan. BT's he used to have the fucking Chocolatito headband. Huge Chocolatito fan.
Well, look,
but yeah, man.
I mean, if you're gonna be a big fan of anybody, I think it should be Chocolatito. And again, I go back. Look, I've been in the past 2 years prior to the Martinez fight. I did think that the bandwagon was getting a little bit too much hype. Again, they were bringing up Inoue. It's like, well, the only one who can beat him is Inoue. And I'm thinking, well, let's see what he does against Martinez. He did. He went above and beyond against Martinez, just completely. Because I thought he would at least be competitive early on, and he was competitive early on for 1 round. He was only competitive in the first round, and thereafter, Bam just that was a real. People say whooping, and this guy smoked that guy, or that was a whooping. And it's a decision. The decision wins not a whooping unless you actually do some damage. What Bam did to Martinez was a whooping. So
let's not forget that was 4 months after Cafu. It was 4 months almost to the day that he fought Martinez after Cafu. Both guys had perfect records. Did that in 2025. That's pretty good, man. That's you can say what you want, but you can only fight what's in front of you. You can't fight fucking fantasy fights and pretend fights where we're going to jump up and he won't prove himself until he fights Tank. Why doesn't he fight Tank? Let's use that logic.
Right.
Like, the guy's being moved. He's being moved at his own pace. And he said it himself. He thinks he tops out at 126, man. He thinks featherweight's his limit. He thinks 126 he's done. And he said he's only fighting for another 4 years. He's 26 years of age now. I don't know why we got to jump down, because you know what, man? Fighters like this don't come along every day. Trust me, they don't. I've been watching this sport for a fucking long time. They just don't come along every day, man. And you know what? When we see little dudes like this that are knocking people out and guys that are pound for pound worthy, what he's doing to his opponents, man, I've got nothing but credit for the guy, man. I got to give him all the props in the world. And to me, I was on board when he starts Sonny Edwards. He pulled Sonny Edwards out of his back foot. He was the slick white guy. That's what Sonny Edwards was known for. Had no knockouts on his record, but Bam brought him into made him go fight his fight.
Well, he's also known.
I don't know, man.
Sonny Edwards was also known as a guy that wanted to bang Clarissa Shields. Let's not forget that. That's.
Oh, geez.
I'm just saying that's what he wanted. But what was I going to say? Yeah, but again, look, it's true that Bam's opponents haven't done that well going after being defeated by Bam. So it didn't bring up the questions like, well, is that the benchmark for? Because again, one of the biggest examples of that is the Jeff Lacey Calzaghe fight. People might forget about this one because it happened 20 years ago, but to me, in my mind, it's still a relatively new fight because Calzaghe was considered a powder puff European. That's, and it's still the same thing nowadays. People consider European fighters inferior to what we have here in the West, or here in the North American continent. But Calzaghe was considered an overhyped European fighter who'd never fought anybody of note, apparently. And Jeff Lacey was the undefeated guy. He had all the muscles. He was looking like a super middleweight Mike Tyson, even though he really wasn't prior to at least in the last 3 fights against Joe Calzaghe. But that's the way he was being marketed. And a lot of people picked him to beat Joe Calzaghe. Well, Calzaghe goes in there, pretty much 12-0s the guy. And not only 12-0s the guy, but beats him up too. He had him bleeding. At some point they were talking about maybe stopping the fight, or that the commentators were considering that. But subsequently, Jeff Lacey went nowhere. Now, some people could say, well, that's because Jeff Calzaghe ruined him. Other people could say, well, it's because he was just never that good. And so I suppose the only way that we're going to get an answer about Bam's situation in this scenario is he being carefully manufactured? Well, time will tell because it happens to everybody. If you can only manufacture a fighter for so long, eventually they get exposed. You can't protect them forever. And Jesse Bam Rodriguez has been fighting the best. I don't think he's swerved anybody at this point, unless I'm mistaken. Have there ever been any accusations of a guy he didn't fight at his weight class or near his weight class?
No, well, there was people that said when he went up to 118 and came back down to 115, but he just went back to his weight class where he had work to do, man, and he's going to work his way up there.
Well, hold on. He went up to 115 and then went back to 112, right?
112, sorry.
Right.
Not 118.
Well, I mean, I have heard some people accuse him of having ducked Nakatani, that he should have moved up a year ago to fight Nakatani 118, and now he's only thinking about moving up to 118 now after Nakatani's announced that he's going to be moving up to 122, or that he moved up to 122. So again, look, there's always going to be this type of criticism, and I understand the criticism about his resume not aging well. And again, I've used that criterion before to judge a fighter's worth. But at the same time, sometimes it can apply, sometimes you need some context. And with Bam Rodriguez, though, I think it would be a good subject to debate. Because I want to hear more from people about that. Do you agree? Do you think Bam Rodriguez's resume is overrated? Has he been, but not only overrated, but has he been carefully matched? That's an interesting question right there.
I'll be honest, man. I think Jesse Bam Rodriguez is the definition of a pound-for-pound boxer in today. Jesse Bam Rodriguez is for me is a eyes on the prize, all-action fighter, high ring IQ, man. He can switch up. I love the guy, man. Love everything he does. I don't think he's been moved any particular way. Last year showed me 4 months, back-to-back belts. I got and guys with perfect records, champions with unbeaten records. He beats them, and he gets criticism for it. And the Nakatani thing, can we be honest here? How long have we been talking about Nakatani in anyway for?
Yeah, we've been talking about. You're right.
Has it been 2 years? Has it been 2 years?
Thereabouts, yeah.
How long's anyway been at fucking 122 for? 3 years? I remember when he went undisputed and said, "I'm going to stay here for a year or two."
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. Bam, apparently his next fight, they're already talking about, I think it's close to official. He's going to be taking Antonio Vargas at 118 pounds. I tell you what, though, if he gets past Vargas, I wouldn't mind seeing him against what was his name again? The Nasukawa. I call him the Japanese Joe Dirt because that's what he looked like. He had a mullet and everything, blonde mullet. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that fight. And Vargas again, I think Bam should beat Vargas, but it will be interesting to see how he looks like at 118 against a strong guy who can crack like Vargas. And Vargas is 29, so these allegations of Bam only fighting old guys is not going to apply here. And again, Nasukawa is relatively young himself too. He's a southpaw. I don't think Bam's fought many southpaws in his career other than Sorong Visai. So we'll see. I tell you what, though, the type of guys that seem to have given Bam trouble so far are actually taller guys. That's why I want to see that Nakatani fight, because Israel Hernandez kept Bam Rodriguez at the end of his shots, and Bam landed a lot of low blows in that one, by the way. And then when he fought Christian Hernandez, Hernandez actually did better than what's his name, than Sonny Edwards. He showed an incredible gas tank moving around the ring for all 12 rounds. Again, it wasn't a good performance because he was moving way too much, but he was also throwing punches, and he managed to fracture Bam Rodriguez's jaw. And we haven't really seen much from Christian Chicharito Hernandez since. I think that's his last name, Hernandez.
Yep.
I think. Anyway, the point is,
Yep.
Yeah, the point is that Bam, there are those criticisms against him, and now he's fighting a young guy in Antonio Vargas. Again, it's slim pickings for Bam Rodriguez right now. It's not as if it's not the Superfly division of the mid 2010s. There's not that much for him there, so he's in a bit of a bind as well.
That's right.
But yeah, so
I think he'll get there, man. I think Robert's moved him beautifully.
Yeah, in a matchroom. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just think I think he's a complete fighter, man. And for a 26-year-old, bro, I'm pretty happy with what I've seen from Bam.
Well,
I think he'll keep doing his thing, man. I'll put it this way, man. He's the type of fighter I love to watch.
He definitely is must-see TV. We'll see where this discussion leads us after Bam beats, if Bam beats Vargas, I should say, if he beats Vargas. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. Let's see what people are saying about this, or if people are talking about this subject, because I'm curious. Team Batman Boxing, shout out to Team Batman Boxing. Always appreciate him coming around. He says Tenshin versus Bam or Takuma Inoue versus Bam. I do feel the size of Tenshin could be an issue, and the foot speed of Takuma would also make it a good fight. I've got Bam over both, but still good fights on 118 pound. Absolutely, yeah. I think you have to favor Bam over most of these guys, but at least put him in there against someone who has a chance, right, to beat him. I don't want to see him against no names. Al Cuerpo says I've been calling out Bam versus Nakatani with various videos up to Inoue, but Bam doesn't want it yet. Well, I think that's where the criticism stems from too. The fact that they were saying that, oh yeah, we'll fight. I think that's what Robert Garcia did recently, ignited this controversy or reignited the controversy when he said, well, we want to fight Inoue, but once he gets done at 126 or something like that, he said. So people were accusing Bam of trying to age out Inoue. So, hey, listen, maybe it is a weird statement to make. I'll say that. Grim Reaper says Estrada was number 1 in the division when Bam beat him. Let's get mad at him for beating the best guy. Yeah, I understand that it's difficult. When you put it that way, it is difficult to criticize him. But I mean, let's face the facts. Estrada had been out for almost 2 years. And that was his fault, by the way. I think in an interview, he admitted that he was considering retiring and he just wanted one last fight. So he did it to himself. But the point remains, it wasn't the best Estrada. It certainly wasn't the Estrada that fought Chocolatito 3 times, or the one that beat Sorong Visai, or was beating up some of the best guys there on TV Azteca. But I mean, it's true. Listen, I mean, is that Bam's fault? I mean, he can only fight and beat the guys that they put in front of him. Unless what Brandon from True School Sport is saying, that they're carefully guiding him. But again, I still haven't really seen that argument fleshed out fully. Okay, so speaking of weird stuff going on, this flew under the radar a little bit here. We had a whole bunch of fights this Saturday, and on Pro Box too, by the way, Pro Box. And one of the guys that fought on there was an Argentinian. I already forgot his name, but he's the guy that on Pro Box had beaten Roman Villa, who happens to be one of Enes' best wins, by the way. And he just fought this Saturday too, the Argentinian guy, on Saturday on Pro Box on the undercard. Well, a guy that's associated with our Argentinian is Brandon Adams, 154-pound contender. he beat that Argentinian. So Brandon Adams has a good resume so far. He beat Boachuk in the rematch. He has a win over that Argentinian guy. But I tell you what, he was supposed to fight this Saturday against the British fighter by the name of, if you haven't, you've probably seen him on undercards, Kaumin Argyarko, another short 154-pounder who's very strong as well. Well, that fight was supposed to take place this Saturday, and it fell through. It fell apart because Brandon Adams had to be hospitalized, collapsing in his hotel room. I think this was before the weigh-in. Or it might have been the day of the fight, right? So some people were saying...
Gotta be kidding me.
Oh, no, excuse me. Just hours before his scheduled weigh-in. What did you say? Somebody said something?
Yeah. This guy has got to be one of the most mismanaged fighters of this era.
But what is that? But he... Okay, we'll get to that, but apparently I think it had to do with him making weight. I think it was those issues.
Really?
Nothing has been, because nothing has been said so far. I mean, all I can see here was that I think Ellie Sagbach actually doing some actual reporting for once, actually talked to some of the representatives from Brandon Adams. And I think Brandon Adams then went on Instagram saying that, well, he had this to say. He said he felt bad for his opponent because he knew he traveled from England and that, he felt sorry for him. It wasn't his fault. My heart breaks for my opponent, he says, who I know trained just as hard as I did for this opportunity. I put my heart and soul into this camp, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, and then, Argyarko also, Argyarko, excuse me, also complained about how, oh man, this sucks, blah, 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 but let's see if we can do it again. But again, nothing has been said about what happened with Brandon Adams. Why was he hospitalized? Was he dehydrated? Was he having heart palpitations? And did the ever-present fractured taint prop up here or something like that? Well, what happened?
Is Argyarko managed by Jay Prince? did they poison him? Did they slash his tires?
Yeah,
Is it that type of shit, or was it just a simple weight cut? Maybe he can't make 54 anymore. But man, what a tragic story Brandon Adams has been, bro. I don't know who the fuck his management is, but he needs to kick them to the curb.
Well, who else is going to promote him? It's not like he's a big name. It's not like he's at the most. I mean, you know what I mean? He doesn't. I don't think he's got a lot of options out there.
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. But like, you look at Boachuk, man. Like, but he beat Boachuk twice, yeah. Beat Boachuk twice. He's got he's just got. I don't know, man. He's exciting to watch, and I just think he's been managed poorly.
Well, also remember
just
that
like a forgotten fighter.
You mentioned those wins over Boachuk. He also has, I just looked it up, Francisco Daniel Veron. That's the Argentinian guy. Undefeated at the time when Brandon Adams fought him. And he also fought Andreas Katsuarkis. That was on the Zone. I don't know if people remember that. The Zone was doing the smaller cards at some point, and they actually did a 154-pound tournament. That was the final, and a lot of people felt that Brandon Adams should have gotten the win against the Greek guy. But that didn't work out. So if he wouldn't gotten the win, if he would have gotten
the contender, he also won the contender, didn't he?
I think the ESPN.
That's how he got that title shot against Charlo.
That makes okay. You're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right. He beat. You're right. It was
Sergio Mora parlayed that into a whole other career.
You're right. It was a Contender Series 5. I forgot that as recently as 2018 they'd actually done the contender. You're right. But think about it. If he would have gotten a win over the Greek guy, he would be on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fight winning streak. But as it stands, that counts as a loss. But yeah, Brandon Adams. But again, though, that's the thing. He's rated in the 154-pound division, but he's very muscle bound. He's a short guy, relatively short for the division at 5'8", but he's very muscle bound. So I have to wonder. And again, remember when he fought Boachuk the last time on the undercard of Canelo versus Crawford, that was at a catchweight, I believe. So I don't know if Brandon Adams at 36 years old can make 154-pound anymore. And that's a bit of a bad thing for him because he moves to 160, he's going to be undersized, at least height-wise. But then again, the positive, though, is that there's not much going on at 160 pounds now. So let me ask you guys this. Because again, we don't know what happened, but it's weird that there are no details coming out about why exactly he was hospitalized. And I suspect this being boxing, we're never really going to get any answers. But let me ask you this. At 160 pounds, could he beat a guy like, say, Erislandy Lara?
No.
Really?
I think so. Lara's pretty old. He's ready. He's right for the kicking, you know.
Brandon Adams is a pretty straightforward type fighter. I think Lara can still move, even in his fucking 40s.
That's a good point, though. But the thing with Lara is we're talking activity too here. He's gotten those guys out of there in under 3 rounds lately. He's only fighting once a year, but he's getting them out of there in 3 rounds, so he's not getting that many rounds on top of that. So
My favorite Lara fight is against Michael Zarafa. You do not know how happy that made me feel, seeing him get knocked out by an old 40-year-old Lara. I love that fight.
I'm starting to get the feeling that you guys don't like your own over there in Australia. You don't like Cambosos. You don't like Zarafa. The only guy you seem to like is Opetaya.
I don't mind. Look, George takes on all comers, mate. That's what I like about George. I don't like Zarafa because he's a fucking cockhead. He's got the personality of a fucking box of hammers. He's just you can't like. There's nothing to like about the dude, man. He lies.
You know what?
Up stories.
Him and George Cambosos, George Cambosos and Conor Benn actually strike me as the same characters. They both have illusions of grandeur. And again, look, at least Cambosos had that Lopez win, right? But it's,
at least he's won a belt.
Yeah, at least
we won a few belts.
But they both talk a lot. They're both hotheads. They're not that good or as good as they think they are. So yeah, it just reminded me of that. But yeah, but back to Brandon Adams. Look, Brandon Adams is a consummate professional. When he fought Jermall Charlo, he was outgunned, but he managed to make it to 12 rounds. He's pretty good defensively. I think I can't remember the last time he fought a southpaw, but something tells me that with his experience, he probably knows how to deal with a southpaw. So that's a fight that I wouldn't mind at 160 pounds. However, I think the fight, I don't know if he beats Carlos Adames, though. I think he gives him a good fight. Yoeli Hernandez, on the other hand, that dude's been looking like a killer, although his opposition is quite limited, but he's 6 feet 2 inches tall. Would he be too much for Brandon Adams at 160 pounds?
Well, how tall is Boachuk?
6 feet, I think. Thereabouts.
6 feet, yeah. I know, he dispatched fucking Boachuk pretty easy, but we're talking different weight class, of course, but I don't know, man. Like, at 36 years of age, man, Brandon Adams is a case of what could have been in boxing, in my opinion, man. I don't know. I don't even know who the fuck his management is, man, but it's nothing. It's obviously no one special who has no clue on how to move their guy.
Yeah, man.
Like, seriously.
Maybe his manager is Rick Mirigian, too, on top of that. Maybe that's what I'm kidding. Yeah, people have been besmirching Mirigian's name lately. But, I mean, look, Brandon Adams, so that fight fell apart. Who knows what's going to happen with him? Who knows if there was...
I didn't even know that was supposed to be happening, bro.
Nobody knew.
Didn't even know that was happening.
You're not alone. Yeah. You're not alone. A lot of people didn't know. The only reason I knew is because I'd seen it on Twitter like weeks beforehand, the announcement. So
crazy. That's crazy.
I don't even think it was going to be televised, by the way. And if it was probably going to be on Playboy TV or X Video or something. I don't know. Speaking of selling well and people not knowing what's going on, apparently that Zurdo fight, Zurdo versus Benavides, is not selling well. I'm looking again. This is what somebody posted. This is a Mr. Pull Up. I think he specializes in ticket sales and all that. He posted this on Twitter. Hold on a second. He said, "Everyone that purchased 100 level."
It's not Jedi Goodman. Are we even paying attention to those numbers?
You know what, Solvers? That's a great point, man. That is a great point. If it's not Jedi Goodman or Yoda boxing, or you know what I mean, then we shouldn't really take it with a grain of salt. Now, but in all seriousness, this is what Mr. Pull-Up said. He said, everyone that purchased 100 level seats at $105 and $205 price level to Benavides Zurdo just got upgraded to the lower level at T-Mobile Arena, meaning it's probably not selling all that well. Then other people posted some things here. Somebody said, PBC does horrible promotion for their events these days. I forgot this was ever happening. Then Mr. Pull-Up said, the fights sell on their own if you price them right. PBC overprices every show. Then somebody says, no, I think it's probably low-key inflation. So that, they were going back and forth over that. Somebody else then said, Mr. Pull-Up said, every Benavides fight has been papered out since I can remember. they'd rather hand them out than price them right. That's probably at the on fight week as well. Then somebody asked him, "You got some deals?" He says, "Not yet. Wait for fight week as usual." So unfortunately, just this whole thing of you put up 2 Latino fighters again, it doesn't seem to be working out this time. And even though it's Benavidez, who's a relatively entertaining fighter, same thing with Zurdo, you would think that this fight would do well. But I think the main mistake with this is this: Vegas. Neither guy's a big name. Why you put it in Vegas? I would suspect that holding this fight in LA or in Chicago or maybe even Phoenix, Arizona or New Mexico, I think it would do well there at the gate. But the fact that they had to take it to the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. And remember, Benavidez is the guy, when they asked him about a fight against Bivol and Beterbiev or even Opetay and all that, he's like, yeah, but it has to happen in Vegas because I'm a Vegas fighter. It's like, what? You shouldn't be a Vegas anywhere fighter. You should be a fighter wherever it does better or what's better for your byline or for business. That's where you should be fighting. But that's the problem. Vegas offers these guys and these promoters a side fee, and nobody else can compete. So these promoters, they just take the fight, the side fee where it leads them to Vegas. Even whether it's they got to paper the arena, whether it doesn't do well. Again, that's for a long time. That's been the bane of boxing. These guys, they get the side fee up front, so they go, oh, we don't got to do any promotion. So there's no posters, there's no fighters at radio stations, there's no TV advertisement, no, nothing. They already got their money. So they get complacent. And it's the same thing here in Vegas, especially since a lot of people have been saying that Vegas is dead for the past year now, with the overpricing and all that, and inflation, and the economy is not the greatest. Why hold this fight in Vegas? Well, again, as always, the side fee. And it's a good fight. There's a lot of people out there. Boxing fans are highly excited for this. Well, I mean, maybe not highly excited, but we're looking forward to it. Even though it's pay-per-view, that's the only. Yeah.
I'm glad it's not doing good. They're trying to pull some sneaky shit, like low key. They try to. Zurdo should be fighting Opetaya, and Benavidez should be fighting Bivol, right?
Facts.
So that they both skirted those fights. If they both push those fights to the side to fight each other, hoping to get a monetary gain that they would have gotten over the other guys. I'm glad it's not working out for them, bro. They shouldn't be fighting each other. It's a stupid fight.
So you're saying this is a bit of pugilistic karma? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
You know what? I think you're right.
They've both got work to do. They've both got work to do in their own division. They haven't conquered any division, so they've got work to do, and they're making this fight, this cruiserweight fight. Mm-hmm. I think and if I'm honest, I think Benavidez is trying to use the Canelo formula, and he's trying to use the Canelo formula on the likes of Jai Opetaya. He's trying to use what Canelo, he doesn't know that guy, and then his father comes out and says Jai's not a well enough known name. He needs to fight for another 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
5 years, yeah. He was very specific in the 5 years. Very specific in that 5-year time frame, because by then Jai should well and truly be out of the cruiserweight division.
Exactly, yeah. It's bizarre. Those statements are bizarre, but yeah.
You know what? I hope it sells good, man, because I still want to see it, but I just don't think if Benavidez wins, I don't think he hangs around. And if he does, I don't know. He's got a couple of mandatories there because the rankings have just come out. And do you know who's number one in the WBO and the WBA at the moment?
Who's that?
It's the guy that fights at the Gold Coast Convention Center.
Oh.
And he's ranked number 3 in the WBC. So I think Jai getting stripped of his IBF belt is one of the best things that could happen to him.
You might be right. I'm looking at it right here. WBA. Hold on. WB. Wait, what the fuck? The IBF. He just got stripped. WBA. Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez holds that one, and the number one contender is Jai Opetaya, straight from the Gold Coast. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's true, because let's say Benavidez beats Zurdo, as most people are expecting. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna go back to 175 as he said, or is he gonna stay at cruiserweight? If he does stay at cruiserweight and he cares about the belts, because again, the big thing about Benavidez Canelo was, but the WBC protected Canelo. Benavidez was the number one contender for years. Well, whether that's true or not, now if he gets the belt, he's gonna have Jai Opetaya on his ass. Is he gonna do the same thing he accused Canelo of doing, or is he gonna fight his number one contender? Makes you wonder. One thing that we didn't get a chance to talk about because of scheduling conflicts and all that. was the Tim Tszyu fight. Tim Tszyu returned, what was it, 2 weeks ago? And ended up beating up an Armenian guy, I think. Actually looked good doing it under Pedro Martinez. Pedro Diaz, yeah. Now, one thing that caught my attention was the referees. I don't know what's going on over there in Australia, but the referees have this weird garment, this weird clothing. First of all, look at this. I'm putting it up on the screen. This dude, first of all, his face, I don't know this guy looks pissed. Number two, they got the blue shirt, but then they got red bow ties. I think I thought they discontinued the bow ties, but okay, a black bow tie, it's kind of inconspicuous. These guys are wearing red bow ties. Then on top of that, black gloves. And then you get this character, this ominous looking character. He looks like an evil ice cream salesman or something. I mean, I don't know. It weird. And then on top of that, I don't have the picture here with me, but on their backs, they had a stop sign, stop cheap punching or something like. I don't know what it was. I think it was some sort of a campaign or something against bullying. I don't know what it was.
It's Denny Green's. Stop the king hit.
What is that?
It's talking about. So a king hit is like a cheap shot in a pub when someone's drinking and you king hit a guy from behind, or that's what it's all about, because there's a big drinking culture in Australia. A lot of people get king hit and die from it.
Okay, but that's, I mean, I'm sorry to hear that happens, but first of all, that sounds like a pretty Australian thing. That just sounds like it's
very Australian. And can I just tell you about that referee? So that referee actually has a part-time job. He makes balloon animals for kids at kids' parties.
Does he also
very skilled in the chihuahua and the dachshund. He does a good dachshund and a good inflatable sword.
I heard he spends most of his time in drains, in sewage drains, and when kids go out there to play in the rain, he appears and tells them, "Hey, your boat fell in here. Why don't you reach in and come and I'll give it to you?" And then he rips their arms off. That's what I heard. But look, this whatchamacallit, what king hitting? I mean, look, that sounds like it's part of the game. If you go to a bar, and that's as if here in North America you got a boxing fight, you're watching Shakur Stevens and Teofimo Lopez, and all of a sudden you see the referee with a fucking a sign on his back saying no taint punches. It's like, come on. First of all, you can't discontinue the famous taint punch. If you take that away from me, I'm done. First of all, in bar fights. Second of all, what does that have to? Is that happening? Is there an epidemic of king hitting in Australia that they actually have to bring that up during a fight?
Yeah, there actually is. There's a lot of people that die in clubs.
Dying because of king hitting
and brain injuries. Oh fuck yeah!
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Then I was wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
Then I was wrong. And by the way, what are you doing to stop that? To curtail that? You got to stop. You got to stop doing that too, there, Carl. Stop the king hitting.
Yes. I make sure that I let them throw the first one.
There you go. There you go, man.
Then that's self-defense. I know the law.
Good, man. Hey, by the way, Herbert Conceição also won on Pro Box, so shout out to him. He got dropped, by the way. I don't know if he's related to Robson Conceição, but he's an Olympian of sorts too, I believe. And he got dropped, but then he got back up. Credit to him, and managed to win a decision. So there it is. There's Conceição celebrating there. The other thing I wanted to bring up real quick, somebody was going at Dan Rafael, because Dan Rafael said that he was surprised to see Hooney and Clark fighting because there was supposed to be some sort of a promotional.
It was a contractual argument with Matchroom. I've actually got this on my channel, BDA. I put this up yesterday. I found Eddie Hearn. Apparently, Justice Hooney had 1 day. He was only 5 fights into a 6-fight deal. And after his loss, here's the funny part, okay? So what Eddie has is a clause in the contract with Matchroom where if you lose a fight, man, and you're Australian, you're gone. I talk about the likes of, look at Liam Paro and even Sabriel Matias. As soon as they lose, they're gone. Matchroom will dump you. As long as you got the belt and you're champion, they'll continue to manage you. As soon as you lose that belt, you're gone. You're out. You're out of Matchroom. So Justice Hooney, they must have had a clause or something where they could take Justice Hooney back, but they didn't want Justice Hooney fighting Fraser Clark on that card, man.
So how did it happen then?
And they did it anyway. I don't know. Obviously, I think Eddie might have been playing with himself.
Well, I don't want that image in my head.
Someone might have punched him in the taint. He might have copped a taint punch. I don't know.
Don't be surprised if somebody goes out there. Eddie Hearn should watch out for king hitting. That's all I'll say if he goes out next week.
Don't come to Australia, Eddie. You're not real popular.
There you go. But the reason why I brought that up there, that tweet, is because that's what Dan Rayfield reported, and then somebody said, somebody replied, more bullshit from the fat yank. so the people are going after his weight just openly, and then Dan Rayfield replied saying, it was absolutely accurate, you fool. So that at least he didn't try to go after the guy's appearance, but I just found it funny. That's how they know him across the pond, the fat yank. That doesn't really narrow it down, does it? There's a lot of fat Americans out there. It was one of the fattest.
Really, no. There's a lot of pie eaters in America.
There you go. Yeah. Well, listen, that's all.
I want to say a quick one, BDA.
Sure.
So Tara Moana's fighting in just over 2 weeks' time.
What?
On Sky Nicholson's undercard in Australia.
Huh.
Ringside, Gold Coast Convention Centre.
Ringside.
And we still don't know who his opponent is.
I'm surprised that he's fighting so soon, because didn't he just fight a couple of weeks ago?
Curtis. Yeah, Curtis. What was his name? The guy that did the runner on FAO Jugba?
Right.
Legged it out of the ring.
Yeah, that dude.
I can't remember his last name. I know it's Curtis something or other, but yeah. He's the type of guy, he fought a lot of good people, man, but just came up short. Or did the bolt and got out of there. But yeah, Tara Moana's fighting in just over 2 weeks' time, and he's fighting another TBA. Got no idea who the fuck it is.
How old is
this? So here's where I want to say, so Eddie Hearn has just announced that he's got these 5 amazing cards that he's going to have a main event in Australia, which is our sports network, right? Main event.
Mm-hmm.
He's just announced he's going to have 5 cards in Australia. One of them's coming up soon. It's Sky Nicholson's card, and I've got to say, it's not going to do very well, mate. No one follows women's boxing in Australia. No one at all. I think curling might be more popular in Australia than women's boxing. But the fact of the matter is, he's got a guy like Tara Moana, who is a good Aussie prospect heavyweight. And can I tell you, mate, as an Aussie boxing fan, it's been a fucking long time since we've had a decent prospect, especially in the heavyweight division. And this guy just gets zero airplay and he can't have a full camp where he's fighting someone. Like, he's 10 fights into his career, still never had a full camp where he knows who his opponent is. We're just out over 2 weeks out. He's still fighting TBA. Same as the other guy. They got him on 9 days' notice. Like, Eddie's doing such a fantastic job.
How old is he, by the way? Tara Moana.
Oh, he's young, man. I've got to say, he'd have to be maybe mid-20s.
Well, it seems as if they're just keeping him active then. They're just trying to keep him active, get him a couple of stiffs to knock out until they can secure something a little more solid.
He's 28. Sorry, he's 28.
Yeah, that's a little bit. They got to move. I mean, I know heavyweights have a longer shelf life, but they really have to get him somebody. They got to move him fast as well.
He's got to get some rounds in. He's got to get some rounds in, BDA. He's got to get someone like he's got to get even a Derek Chisora or a what's the big Croatians? Hergovic. Someone like that can give him some rounds.
Yeah, that might be too much too soon, though, at this point.
Oh, well, man, he had a really good fight against – and look at Jalalov. Like, what's Jalalov doing? I think Tara Moana gave Jalalov his best fight in 2024. His second gold medal to Jalalov. Like, he went back to the Olympics and got another gold medal. But, yeah, this Tara Moana, man, I want to see him in there with some quality opposition. And he's not going to be a guy that's going to have 50 fights to his name, BDA. Like, he's going to get in and get out.
Yeah, man. I mean,
and he said it himself. I want to see him bank some rounds, man. Like, these round 1, round 2, like, we're 10 fights in and he hasn't been past the second round, bro. He's only been to round 2 twice, 10 fights.
Yeah, man. I mean, the heavyweight division is getting exciting because you got the Gurgan, that big Armenian guy that I call the Armenian Martin Bakoli. You got Richard Torres. You got Aitama. You got Terror Moana. That's what I call him, Terror Moana. And so it's looking good. Like we got some up-and-comers, but you're right, man. They got to start moving them quickly. And hopefully Eddie Hearn can do something with him. And I tell you what, the boxing fans, we got to think about ourselves here too a little bit, because we were supposed to have Callum Smith versus David Morrell this Saturday. This next Saturday. It ain't happening. We have women's boxing, so that means for us we have nothing on Friday. Then on Saturday, we got Ben Whitaker taking on a tough RG by the name of Brian Nahuel Suarez. But then again, Suarez was stopped by Lyndon Arthur, so you figure Whitaker should do the same thing. So again, it's not the most appetizing of matchups. Then on that same day from Kyrgyzstan, of all places, Luis Neri taking on John Riel Casimero, a Filipino and a Mexican fighting in Kyrgyzstan. Both guys are relatively old, particularly.
I think that's off too. I think that's off too.
What?
I think that's gone. What are you
talking about? What do you? Oh,
Pretty
you're
sure that
right.
fight's
You're right. It says postponed. What?
Yep. Yeah, that's not happening.
It was supposed to be across 3 days, right? This whole event.
That was the Sean Gibbons thing. Yeah, man. Yep.
But why is it still? But wait a minute. The article I'm reading from SB Nation, from Batted Left Hook, says April the 2nd postponed the event, but now we're April the 13th, and they still on ESPN they still have that up.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting it, man.
All right. Well, first of all, I didn't even know if we were going to be able to watch it. Where the hell was that going to be televised from Kyrgyzstan?
BLK Prime. BLK Prime. everyone get the BLK Prime.
Right.
They're doing great numbers.
My the last time I watched Kyrgyzstani TV was a long time ago. Is it Kyrgyzstani or Kyrgyzstanian? I forget. I don't know. I don't know if it's like Pakistani or whatever. By the way, April the 25th, then you got Jerome Miller versus Lenier Perro. I don't know who Perro is. That same day, you got Lawrence Okoli versus Tony Yoka, the battle of the has-beens or never was.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, who gives a fucks on the zone. Then that same day, 4 days later, it's the one that Carl was talking about, Sky Nicholson versus Mariah Turner, Big Mariah. And here, indeed, Teremoana taking on the dreaded TBA. It's a 6-rounder on top of that. And then we gotta wait until May the 2nd for Inoue Nakatani and Zurdo versus Benavides on the same day, not on the same card, but on the same day. So we got slim pickings here. I don't know if we're gonna be doing a show unless there's a big news event occurring midweek that we can talk about. I think I'm just gonna do I'm gonna try to contact Chief if he wants to do the historical show. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Anything else we missed before we go?
Nah, I just want to give Justice Hooney a shout out, man. I thought after being out of the ring 300 days, his trainer, Kerry, passing away from a heart attack while he was in camp. I think he had a pretty decent fight, man, with a new trainer against a bit of a resurgence in Fraser Clark, man. And, yeah, I think he fought well. I think he boxed well. He was doubling up with the left hand and not getting too greedy and getting caught too much, man. I think Justice Hooney did pretty good in that fight.
Well, he did very well. He got hurt at some point in the fight, but he just kept on coming. And he's, you know what? He would be Caballel if he had power. A little bit. I'm not saying full-on Caballel, but he just doesn't seem to have that whack on his punch. I think somebody in the Discord was saying because he had hand issues. I think he had hand injuries or something, so maybe that's what's affecting his punch.
They're called pillow fists. He's got fucking tontine pillows for fucking hands.
Well, there you go, man. There you go.
He's a good boxer, but yeah, you gotta have a chin and you gotta be able to knock dudes out, man. But hey, BDA, thanks for having me, man.
Thank you, man.
I'm gonna get going.
Yeah, take it easy out there in Australia. Don't get we don't want to see you get king hit. All right, watch out for those king hitters.
I'm pretty right. I'm pretty right. I got eyes in the back of my head, bro.
There you go. So shout out to Carl for joining us. Shout out to Solvers too for jumping in early in the morning here, helping us out with the morning show. And shout out to all of you guys for joining us. Really appreciate it. Quentin Lassiter says, Aitoma versus Hooney. That's a good step-up fight. Yeah, that would be you know what? That's one that I hadn't thought about when we were talking about Aitama 2 weeks ago. That's a good one. Baron Nivola says, that's why Pro Box is the best game in town. Yeah, maybe they should send what's his name? Tauma, whatever his name is. I'm losing my mind here, but maybe they should send him over to Pro Box to get some rounds in if they can find him. John McSmith, shout out to John McSmith, says salute BDA, shout out to Carl, shout out to John McSmith there, shout out to him. Thank you for the kind words there. Jace Toba says, I blame BDA for pay-per-view inflation. Well, listen, I'll take the blame. Why not? Baron Nivola says 100% politically, the stands are important. What do those guys do? They wrestle. That's why the UFC is boring. Okay, so I think he's referring to what we were talking about the UFC there. Apparently, it's not that entertaining anymore, or at least that's what I hear, because I don't watch it anymore, so I don't know if it is entertaining or not. Gwen Lazarus says he should be ready for Hrgovic. This don't Finley telling Wilder he's still a baby at 28. This is his physical prime. Okay, I think he's talking about Terrorama right there. No, why do I keep calling him? I call him Terror because he's good. He hits hard. But what's his actual? How do you pronounce his name? He was just saying it a couple of minutes ago. Terramoana. He's got the double name, by the way. Terramoana. I don't know if that's an Australian thing, but it's very weird. Al Cuerpo says Carl for president of these streets. There you go. Yes. Not King, though, by the way, because then he's going to get King hit. Blue Tech says, how many licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? Okay. Okay. It's because apparently Al Cuerpo says, Carl said Sky got a liquor license. Liquor. Listen, that never stopped me before. I don't need a goddamn liquor license. I write it up on my own. More BTC says Francisco Vadon can give guys like Jaron Ennis and Xander Zayas huge problems. Well, he moves and throws, and he can do that for 10, 12 rounds. So, yeah, that's a little tricky right there. Blue Tech says Mike Tyson used to KO people with the left hand, then he wake them up with the right. Well, there you go. Jay says crackheads are still buying pay-per-views. Crackheads are still buying. I think the crackheads don't buy the pay-per-views. I think he says these young cunts don't know about the pay-per-view. Hey, man, Jace is on fire, man. Team Batman Boxing is laughing there as well. So, yeah, shout out to you, all of you guys there. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Shout out to JJ, too, just for dropping by right now. Skull Kid as well. Team Batman Boxing. Barry Nivola. The aforementioned John McSmith. 2 Matador. Al Cuerpo. 1 round. Shout out to him. More BDC. Quen Lassiter. Blue Tech. If I forgot anybody, it's because we got to go. And again, I want to thank Carl and Sobers for jumping in here, helping us on the morning show. Shout out to all of you guys for jumping in on the